All right, this is Friday Night Rants and Bants, even though it's a Wednesday. I mean, I'm
That's
not...
right, it is Wednesday. You convinced me there.
You were convinced that the Friday, just because I put a Friday there, that was all you needed.
Well, that's all I needed.
Okay, fair
I'm
enough.
so used to trusting you in everything that you say.
Well, there you go. That's your first mistake.
I was like, oh shit, it's Friday and no work tomorrow? Awesome.
Oh well.
It's okay.
Yeah, so Friday Night Rants and Bants with me, the legendary Chris, and the mythical...
Jackson.
Yeah, that's it.
Mythical in my mind only.
So I think I think the prompter for this was Game of Thrones season 8. That was really where we decided.
Well, we both sat down and watched it, and I haven't watched Game of Thrones.
Well, we'll give a better background. Is that
right.
I sort of started Game of Thrones way back when I think the first and second season were out at the time, and then I sort of jumped on the bandwagon, and then kept going until like season 5 or 6.
That's
stopped,
right, yeah.
And then stopped for ages, and then watched 7 and 8 sort of all in one go.
Yeah, and then when you were watching 7 and 8, I had just jumped on the bandwagon because I remember hearing that the season 8 was like the best season of all time. The sarcasm, obviously.
Yeah, well.
And I was like, oh man, I would like to know why. So instead of spoiling myself, I just watched the show and did it about a month, I think.
Oh, there was less. I thought it was like 2 or 3 weeks. You watched 8 seasons in...
About that, yeah. Well, with the intermissionary period when I had to find the other seasons. But,
right. Well, I think we'll go episode by episode, like we said before. So I think that's the best way to go. So, we've sort of had a look at a few things around, and I think episode 1 and 2 of the season was never really a big issue for me. Yeah,
I mean, like, a lot of people obviously have made videos breaking down, the very specific things that are wrong with it. And, like, I watched it all back to back pretty much. And in terms of quality of those first 2 episodes, I didn't necessarily find anything too egregious. Like, it's obviously not season 1 to 4 good. But it's still...
Nothing much really happens. It's all sort of setting up for
exactly
episode 3 and on after that. But
it's just character reunions and conflict, and Brianna Tarth becomes a knight, and that's really emotional and cool, and she just like cucks the red guy. What's his name? Tormund?
Yeah, I actually thought something was going to develop there.
Well, I did, because...
It never did, because they just had to bring back the Jaime love interest.
The Jaime love interest, which is, I mean, fair, I suppose, for at least Brienne, but it's like... I thought there would have been something there because Tormund's like the only guy outside of Jaime that's ever like liked her for her.
But shouldn't that sort of be the point? Like the point is that Jaime, the guy you'd expect to get with her in the end,
doesn't.
Like that doesn't at all. I mean, it ended up sort of different at the very end.
Well, I mean, especially with the fact that since in like, what was it, episode 4, he's just like, lol, I fucked Brienne and now I'm going back to Cersei because I'm hateful too.
Yeah, well,
it's like, we'll
get to that because that has its own series of problems.
That's true.
But Tormund's sort of missing out on being involved really with anything. It just seems like they set up a whole plot point and then they just got rid of it, which is sort of against the whole point of
Game of Thrones. Well, I mean, it's sort of the thing you've come to expect from Game of Thrones is that a lot of points that have, sort of previously mentioned that are brought up in like season 1 or 2 onwards, you expect them to pop up later. And then it's just sort of like...
Just dropped.
I mean, I know it's not at all integral to the plot in the sense that it's just a character relationship, but I mean, it doesn't...
No, but I think it is integral to the plot because that's the whole point is that Jaime's entire arc from season 1...
Oh, it affects his arc.
Was entirely changing from being, that uncaring arsehole into like a better person who's with someone who actually, cares about him in a positive way.
And represents all the things which he himself slowly, represents as the season goes on.
The things he lost and the things he wants to sort of regain.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was, the whole point of him losing the hand and everything like that.
Losing the hand, giving Brienne obviously the sword, the Valyrian steel sword.
And then knighting her was kind of the finale on that whole setup there.
Yeah.
So that's just entirely shat on.
Yeah.
Which is it's just a waste. I mean, that's just one small thing of many other things.
That's the worst part of season 8, honestly. The relationship. No,
I mean, is it just me who thinks the whole Arya relationship with what's his name, the blacksmith guy,
Gendry,
kind of came out a bit of nowhere? I know there was a bit of chemistry there.
I don't even think there was chemistry because it's kind of weird because when they meet, Arya's like what 12 and he's like fucking. I mean, obviously in real life, he's like 20 something, but like in the show, he's like, I don't know, 16, 17. And then like,
I mean, it's not too weird.
No, but I mean, it's like, he's just so like like if we're looking at like where they are in their arcs and what they have experienced over the course of the show.
Well, he didn't even appear, wasn't he, in like season 3 and then never showed up again?
No, he rocked up in season 1. Like you see him with Ned Stark, but then it's like just life experience. Like it's just kind of weird. It's like Arya at this point has only like she's just a lord child.
Well, the whole last season kind of made a jump from. Well, I guess season 7 sort of was her with the phrase and stuff. Was her jumping from just girl who's starting to learn assassin stuff to jumping straight to she looks acting like she's like 25.
Yeah,
and is like super confident,
it was a bit weird.
Super mysterious assassin.
Yeah. It's a bit strange, that whole sort of thing with her learning with like the assassins, because it's sort of like what were they called again? The
Faceless Men.
The Faceless Men, that's right. Because it's like that happens in season 6, if I remember correctly. And yeah, it just sort of like it develops over a season, and then it's like, lol,
it's sped up really fast and resolved, and then never spoken about.
Yeah, and it's not like she left halfway through, which is the impression that I got, because she like killed the other girl who was there, and then came back to Westeros and was like, okay, cool.
Well, I mean, the whole thing, as we'll go on with the later episodes, is that she's got these crazy powers or whatever, like the faces and stuff, but I don't think she ever even uses them past the phrase.
Yeah, that was the end of season 7. Yeah.
And that's never used again. No. I think they show at one point in season 7 she has like the case full of faces she can use or whatever.
That was when she and Sansa were having their fake out, I'm gonna murder you, but not really.
I mean, that's its own problem, really. But it was a waste of time. But
it looked like she only had like 2.
Well, I guess she can turn them into whatever she wants, though, right? So.
Well, no, I think the idea is that you have to have the face from the person. Like that's why in season 5 and 6 they were washing those bodies when they were taking them down. Yeah, but I mean,
if you show that, that's a Chekhov's gun, setting it up to show it, like a later episode that's being used. Like I thought she would use it for something, surely.
Like the Walder Frey mask, and that.
Yeah, well, I mean that was used and paid off.
She had another mask there though. She had I can't remember who it was. It just looked like a generic dude.
Yeah, but I mean, regardless of who it was never used.
No, she never used them again.
So
I mean, maybe she used it in a previous episode, and I'm just forgetting. But like,
I don't think you are, because I'm pretty sure this was brought up by someone else.
Okay, and, cool.
It's just totally pointless, really. Yeah. So that's that. But they weren't too bad, those 2 episodes, because they were just really.
No. But like, remember when Arya was like a character and not just smart ass words and I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Well, like that leads us straight into episode 3, where
oh gosh,
where the
so just to say, I've seen a lot of videos about obviously the tactics of the battle and things that they decide to do, like the trebuchets being up the front.
Well, they weren't quite at the front. They were there, but they were outside the walls of Winterfell. Which
no, they were literally. The trebuchets were right up the front. Like it went Dothraki trebuchets, the
archers behind that,
and the unsullied, and then like the archers were all behind the wall, I think.
No, because there were archers on the front lines, like not where the Dothraki were, but pretty close. They were definitely not the last there, which is just baffling.
Okay, yeah.
And the trebuchets should have been behind a wall or behind a barricade or something.
And they just stopped firing them after I think each one takes like 2 shots.
Well, I think they shoot a little bit and then never again. But I mean, even aside of that, why the fuck did they not carve like a moat? They have a little tiny moat that
it's like
one White Walker falling on completely makes.
Which useless. Also, I saw a video, and I think this is Mueller's video that I watched. Mentions, and obviously it's an obvious thing when you think about it, it's like all the previous seasons and episodes have been like, lol, when a White Walker gets caught on fire, they like go up, it's like they'll be covered in oil, and now it's like 5 bodies can put out this fucking.
I mean, it's the same thing with the Valerian steel as well, because
that's right.
That's supposed to pretty much instantly kill them. I'm pretty sure from what we've seen. Like even a shard of it was killing them. Yeah. Back. Don't they just shatter? Or
no, that's the White Walkers, like
the night or the actual strong ones.
Yeah, not just the undead.
Yeah, but I mean, even so, they were pretty vulnerable to it, which was not really apparent here. Even though Jon has one, even though all their weapons were apparently made of them. So they start off with the Dothraki just running into the darkness.
When in the previous episode, they were like, we can't beat them in a straight fight,
so let's just run them in straight into the fucking pitch blackness, which they know is filled with
White Walkers. And can I just say, I remember asking you about this season before I watched it. I was like, does it look nice? And you said yes. And, obviously, like the visual, it looks really cool. And like I think that the opening of that episode is really eerie in a nice way when it's like 5 minutes of no talking. I think that's cool, and the way that they had the White Walker army like coming out of the black looked really nice. But at the same time, logic completely contradicts it because it's like
the whole point of Game of Thrones is that they are usually pretty smart with tactics and that sort of thing. And they know that the White Walkers are weak to dragonfire.
Yes.
They have 2 dragons. They know the White Walkers are coming from that direction. Why do they not have everyone behind a moat and a barricade, even behind Winterfell, and send the dragons out first? I know they have a dragon on the White Walkers side, but there's no reason they wouldn't just, go do strafing runs across it. For pretty much the whole battle.
The whole battle. There's no
the dragons just get fucking tired after like one breath. Because
they need their Powerade. Leave them alone.
They shoot like 1 or 2 breaths and then just give up and then just do nothing.
It's because of the blizzard. Blizzard stopped them.
It's just completely nonsensical. And then the Dothraki are just going to rush in, and then Melisandre's like, "No, let me light up your weapons on fire."
Oh, don't even get me.
So before that, she just showed up out of nowhere. They were just going to send them out.
Not only nowhere does she show up out of, but she comes from the fucking north. So what we're meant to believe is that she's either landed somewhere up north and rode down in the same direction that the White Walkers were coming, which makes no fucking sense because they'd just kill her, or she arrived from the south, rode around the fucking side of Winterfell, purposefully didn't like go in any of the side gates, rode up so that she could make the dramatic entrance through the pitch black where the army, like the undead army, is supposedly coming from.
Are we supposed to necessarily believe that she... Like, is she there for a particular reason? Was it like a Lord of Light kind of directing her there thing? Because she comes along, in the episode, she just wanders out and kills herself.
Yeah, because they mentioned she had to die at some point. No, I remember in season 7 when she was talking to Varys, he was like, because Varys hates them, because why not? Is like, lol, you should leave. And she's like, no, I can't do that because I gotta die here before too long and you'll die too. So it was mentioned that she had to come back, but it wasn't really explained how she got there.
Yeah, just such a pointless excuse since she doesn't show up. I don't know, did she show up before in that season at all? And then not again, obviously, because she dies.
No.
So she shows up for one episode, does like 1 or 2 tiny things, and then leaves and
fucks off. Like one of those things was lighting the fucking moat like on fire.
And it's like, well, why didn't you do that beforehand?
Or why did you not fucking get the dragon that Jon's sitting on near the fucking what was it? The Godswood. Like, why didn't you just like turn your dragon 90 degrees and start it on fire? Better yet, I've also had it pointed out to me, like, why was she not running when she exited like the fucking walls? She's like slow walking. It's like a 30-second shot of her like just slowly walking.
We'll get to 30-second shots in the episode 6. I think has one of the worst ones, but we'll get to that because the tactics on display. It's just from this army that's supposed to be made up of 3 different great armies with all these great tacticians. None of them know anything. None of them really have planned out anything at all.
No one has a fucking clue. Remember when season 2 was like entirely like Tyrion's entire like focus in that season was preparing for
the Blackwater Bay.
Yeah, remember when they like spent 3 episodes trying to figure out how to fuck up Stannis? And then
even Stannis had a better fucking battle strategy than these guys, and these are supposed to be the good guys in the big final battle. Which, what did you prefer? Would you prefer it if the White Walkers battle was the last part of the series?
Yes. I think it would have made much more sense if you just flipped the order for Cersei and the White Walkers.
But I get that. But then also, I feel like Cersei's sort of been built up over the whole show.
Yeah, but so is the
the White Walkers.
The White Walkers were like the first shot, like the first like selection of scenes in the first season was the White Walkers. I feel like, plus it would have had an interesting effect too, because like you could have had, even if you just reorder the way that the show works, like in terms of like the conflicts with Cersei and the White Walkers, like think about it, at the end, obviously Daenerys commits genocide or whatnot and burns down King's Landing. Wouldn't it make, like, obviously it's so devoid of like emotion and whatnot at this point anyway, because it's just so much bullshit that she would even do that anyway without the appropriate development. But like, wouldn't it make the season at least a little more like tension filled if she did that, but then they still needed to keep her alive because they needed her armies to go up north and fuck with the White Walkers?
It's a good point.
And conflict could have come there. Like, I would have preferred that, like, just as a base change. Like,
it would have made a lot more sense, and I think it could have. They could have spread out.
Yeah, it would have given Sansa like a fucking like reasonable reason to fucking hate her as well, as opposed to just, well, you're blonde and I'm brunette. I
think the tension could have been built on more, the leading up to Jon killing her or whoever killing her at the end, because they could have seen, she did this or that, or she was, crazy in certain points, and it would have, I think, had a better build up. I mean, I'm not saying that is necessarily the perfect answer, obviously.
No, it's not. No, it still has all the same problems that the season has given us, but at least like that change in order gives like just a very base level like opportunity for some sort of development that isn't just, lol, Danny's evil now and we're going to kill her straight away.
Yeah, just speed up the whole thing. I mean, the episode 3 in general, I think, had a big problem with all the are they going to die? Yes, they're about to die. Cut away.
They should die.
Yeah, so I mean, they had shots of Brienne and Jamie being overwhelmed by White Walkers.
Not just Brienne and Jamie, but like Sam.
Yeah,
and
Sam especially, where he was on the ground screaming as the White Walkers descend on him, and then
those were actually rest breaks. Like he didn't know they were filming at that point. He was just lying down.
That makes sense. Yeah. So and then they just cut away and cut back, and just instantly he's just fine in some different position. I think the Brienne and Jamie ones were some of the worst ones.
I think
the worst one was with Jon.
Was
because he was surrounded by White Walkers, about to die, no help at all.
No.
And then he's like, "Oh no, I've got nowhere to get out." And then cuts back a few minutes later, and he's in a completely different position with the White Walkers on one side of him, so he can just get away easily.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I went back when I was watching it, and just for a bit of context, I watched this episode. And despite all the problems that we've mentioned thus far, it wasn't until about halfway through that I was like, okay, this is bad. Like, I was enjoying it, like just from a spectacle perspective up until this point. But when the second that those sort of like plot armor issues started to become apparent.
I mean, the problem wasn't even just like it happened once. It just kept happening.
It kept happening
with every named character. And they kill off Sam's friend. I've forgotten his name even.
What was his name? I have no
the guy from the wall. And it's just sort of like such a pathetic. Like the people who died in this fight were that guy and Theon,
and Jorah,
and it's like.
But what about Lady Mormont?
Yeah, I mean, like you could have killed off. I was thinking it was going to be like Brienne or someone who's really been there a long time, who actually has built up this kind of rapport with other characters and is really important to the story.
Well, even if it was like, imagine if Jamie died, like at least that would have introduced a new element of...
I sort of wanted that to happen, but then I sort of knew he has to have a resolution with Cersei before they can...
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the better way to go, but even then, speaking on the development that they had in the show...
I was thinking someone like Arya or Sansa might die in that battle.
That would be cool.
I think that, like one of the Starks... That's a big thing of them dying.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jon would have to be alive still because he's pretty integral to the story. But,
plot.
One of those two, Bran, I suppose, he has importance later on, so you can't kill him off.
Gosh, don't even get me started on Bran.
But
my thought with Jamie was more that, obviously his last act of defiance to his sister was going up north to fight with these people. And if he was to die by the White Walkers that she refused to send men to help, that would be an interesting bit of development there.
I think that would be an interesting take on it, but... I understand that they probably wanted to have this big resolution with Cersei.
Oh, absolutely. And it's the better thing to do, even though what we actually got was fucking horrible.
I mean, one part that I really hated was that they had all this crazy fighting going on, all the fire and everything, and then Arya runs off somewhere, and then suddenly, is grabbed by the ghoulie situation where she's in this...
Oh, that's right.
Like this library somewhere, and despite the fact that these White Walkers are flooding in, she's in this library with, like 4 of them?
I think it's like 4 or 5,
and they're just like creeping around, and I'm like, why are they not like screaming and rushing at people and stuff? And then why are they not in the main courtyard? Why is the fire not affecting anything? Like...
And then it's like that entire scene is rendered like pointless because like 2 seconds after her sneaking out successfully, she gets found anyway.
Yeah, it turns into this crazy action scene.
And then it's just a running scene, and I'm just like, what was the point of that, 2 minutes of fucking slow, useless, monotonous...
And it's with the Hound and the guy with the eye patch and the fire sword, and he dies lamely because he threw his sword like a fucking moron. And it's just like, none of these people use logic, and then they tell Arya to run, and she just runs off, and that's the end of the scene, and then you just don't see what happens to the rest
She's
of them.
going to kill the guy with blue eyes,
Yeah, because that was definitely meant for that. It wasn't...
No, it wasn't, like, intended for, like, actual humans. It was totally meant for the White Walkers.
Yeah, I'm sure that
was that season 2 that they mentioned that?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that was actually confirmed to just be made up for the show.
Okay,
No, that part was in the books, the original, like, kill someone with blue eyes or whatever.
Oh, but
it was not. It was not about White Walkers.
No, I didn't imagine it would be about White Walkers.
So they've just sort of added this whole extra angle to it, which it didn't need to be there.
Didn't make sense. The second they said blue eyes and like Melisandre like winked at the camera. I was like,
it was really like a cheesy like sitcom ending. It's like you'll kill someone with blue eyes.
Better get going, kid.
Oh, get it?
Yeah.
And it was just ridiculous. And the whole thing with what is her name, Lady Mormont, the little girl.
Yeah, that was weird. I watched that the first time. Can I just say one thing I haven't heard people talking about? The fucking giants. Where were they in this fight? Like
there was the one.
No. But at the end of season 7, the last fucking shot is you see the Night King and his armies breaching the wall, and I think in that shot you see at least 3-4 giants. And in this entire fight, you see one giant at the start when the Dothraki are sprinting at the line. And you see one, like, this guy, and there's, like, a cringy reaction shot where one was like, oh! And it's like, yeah, cool, fuckwit. And then the only other giant you see is this one that kills Lady Mormont.
Because the rest are just hanging back and then they die when the Night King dies.
They're smoking out. They're having their joints. They're chilling, you know?
So, I mean, the whole thing was dumb because, you know, she's about to die because the giant fucks her up. And then instead of just, like, stomping on her or something like any normal thing would do, it picks her up and holds her right close to its face so she can stab her in the eye. I mean, I know it's like a classic fantasy kind of cliche that something like that.
But see, that's the thing that Game of Thrones has so actively fought against is standard fantasy cliches.
That's the thing. The whole thing with like the last couple of seasons is that they've changed from a subversion of a fantasy cliche until fantasy cliches. I mean, like this whole season, it was so predictable. Everything that was going to happen, I knew would happen. There was nothing that I was like, "Whoa,
this
I
is
never saw
awesome."
this coming.
And the stuff that you don't necessarily think would happen is so fucking brainless and
it's brainless. And just unexciting. And
poorly written. You know, it's subversion for subversion's sake.
I mean, I think I mentioned the other day that Tyrion's brilliant idea to hide people from the army of the dead was to hide them in the crypt full of dead people. And surprisingly, it's a terrible idea. I mean, Tyrion, I think it's like per season, that's the amount of times like his IQ is just divided by each season.
Oh, yes. Since season... Oh, what was it? I think it was like season 7. Like from season 7, his just IQ dropped. I think ever since he met Dany, his IQ dropped.
All of his conversations with Dany are just her saying that was a really dumb idea and him being like, oh, sorry.
I'm a fool.
Yeah, so...
I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, and it's just... You just like, why? He was supposed to be like the smartest character.
Literally, he's meant to be the smartest guy in Westeros, isn't it? It's like...
Yeah, well... I
mean, not anymore. He left Westeros and he came back with half his IQ.
Yeah, it's not really kept in check there. So... yeah, it goes on. I mean, Dany and Jon fighting the Night King's dragon. They have 2 dragons. They don't ever try and be smart with them and try and like pincer attack it or corner it. They just get their asses beat.
They can't even find the fucking thing until
and they just lose it and just fuck off.
Yeah.
Instead of, they like shoot like 1 or 2 lines of fire against these guys and then just leave the whole army to fight for themselves.
I think Jon's literally just chilling at the Godswood. Like, and can we also talk about that for a second? There were multiple shots of those like crowd rushing moments. Like I think the first shot that you see that the undead have broken through into the Godswood and you see Theon and his dudes with archers. No one has swords in this fight, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Theon went from guy who's really good with a sword to using
archer.
The staff.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. And then staff, obviously, at the end doesn't help him at all.
I think they just wanted the snapping thing and stabbing.
So you can stab it through.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. But it's like, you see like these 5 or 6, I think actually no, it was like more like 14, I remember, like charging this line and it cuts and it comes back and they're fine. You know, it's like they're wielding machine guns. That's how fast they're firing.
And I mean, I'm assuming the arrowheads were made of Valyrian steel.
No, not Valyrian, dragon glass. That's what majority of the weapons were made out of.
Yeah, well, whatever. But I mean, like even then, it's just like, surely, you know, we could get some view of it, something happening. Like some of them could have died rather than just, no. They just got it done.
And like, Jon's right there. You could turn his dragon around and like breathe fire out the front and like just stop them from getting into the Godswood at all. I know that's the point, but still.
That's too easy. I mean, you can't make it too easy. Because they had the scene, of course, which, like, even by this season's standards, just completely baffled me, where Jon gets his dragon to breathe fire. He's like, I've got the Night King cornered. I'll breathe fire on him. And the Night King just sort of, like, holds his arms wide and lets it happen and doesn't do anything to him.
No, that was Daenerys.
Whoever.
Drogon, yeah.
Yeah. They still breathe fire on it with dragon fire, which is the weakness of the White Walkers, and does nothing to it.
Does nothing to him.
And I just don't understand if that was something that, like, it was supposed to be explained somewhere, or they were going to.
I think literally the writers in an interview, they were just like, we don't know what would happen, and you don't know what would happen.
The problem would have been that they would have killed the White Walkers and they would have won.
Exactly.
But that would have been too easy. But why put that scene in there if that's what's going to happen. Like, it would just avoid this big bad writing cliche
Exactly.
by just removing that.
It's a completely pointless scene, and then Danny obviously fucks off straight away after he threw his one spear that she knows he has.
Why didn't he take more than one spear? Because he knows it's obviously very effective against dragons.
Exactly.
But
why is his army just not equipped with these spears?
Didn't he have multiple spears in the previous season as well?
I think in season 7 it was shown that he had like 3 or 4.
I mean, I don't know if they're supposed to be special spears or whatever, but
Well,
surely you could just make more.
They're no less special than the special dragon chains they used in the last
Yeah,
episode of season
the
7.
giant chains that the White Walkers keep around in case they down a dragon.
Down a dragon.
And just need to pull it up from the water. Couldn't he just revive it from in the water? Why didn't he need to
You'd
be...
think so.
Why
Couldn't you like just, if you had this problem of like, well, how do we get the dragon up? Couldn't you just have the dragon like die over on the mountain cliffside as opposed to...
Again, and it's another problem that's just solved by having, instead of that season having the dragon wake up, you could have had him just stand there and the dragon like break out of the ice at the end of the season.
Exactly.
And I'm like, it would have solved the chains problem, the famous Game of Thrones chains.
You could just not show it. Like I once again, going back to some other guys on YouTube, they've just been like, cut that scene of him reviving it and just have the reveal be when he's busting down the wall.
Yeah, well, speaking of the wall, that dragon fire is pretty effective against the wall, right?
As opposed
to
the
tiny bit of rubble that Jon hides behind, totally fine. Doesn't even graze him. Doesn't
because that's
singe him.
the special bit of stone in Winterfell.
Maybe it's the same piece of rock that the Night King was using to stop Dany's dragon's fire. I mean, even if the fire, like the rock was dense and the fire couldn't get through, surely the flames would have cooked him alive.
Surely the temperature of that rock would have fucking hurt at least.
No, but it's not real dragon.
And then
fire.
I like his
ghost dragon.
Oh shit! It's anti-fire. It's not allowed to bust through. I like the part where he rees at the dragon. That was my favorite part.
He's like about to attack and then stops and does a giant ree, and is that supposed to work? And then the dragon dies and he probably thinks he killed it.
He's the true Dragonborn from Skyrim.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean,
Fusarudar, killed, dead.
So the big problem in the episode though, for me is
this is where Game of Thrones died. Like plot armor and all of that shit. Like it's prevalent everywhere, but this next scene, this really killed it for me.
This is the big Night King here to kill Bran, which I'm still not really sure why.
Well, here's something that I want to ask.
Is he just jealous that Bran is
Bran's like alive and cool?
Bran's got wheels, and
he's got wheels.
He just is. I guess he's.
Maybe they can both see the future, and the Night King was pissed off that Bran became king as well.
Well, maybe so.
But I have a question for you. Okay, so in an earlier episode, I think it's like episode 2, when they're doing like the planning out, Bran's like, I have the Night King's mark on me, and he can tell where I am always. And I'm like, well, that's a bit of a problem because when you escaped from that place when Hodor was holding the door, like, wasn't the whole point that you got into the woods and he couldn't find you anymore? Like, if he knew where you were all the time, why did he not just send, hundreds of dudes into, like, that forest, specifically where you were?
When was this mark put on him? Was that when he sort of...
That was when he, like, warged and old mate got him while he was warging. So it's like... They explained it in that season as it's like, oh, well, the mark's on you so they can get past the magical barrier to get into like this tree area. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense, fine. But like now apparently it's like the equivalent of a medieval GPS, and I'm just like, what? But
like okay, that's fine. But why does he want to get him? Is he just like, does he want to take the warging power for himself? Like,
I think it's just can the Night King warg anyway?
I'm not sure if he's like, he wants to take the power. I don't fucking know. It's never explained.
He wants to kill the memories of the Westerosi people.
Whatever the fuck that means.
You wipe
Maybe
him out.
Give him some motivation of some sort.
Maybe like have the Night King actually deliver a line. Like, I don't know if like...
I mean, I think that would have, whatever, like, who the fuck knows, but maybe if he said something against Bran in that last scene that could have added a whole new dimension to what's, like, he could have said something. I thought, because I know there was a lot of theories about Bran being the Night King or Bran being involved with the White Walkers, so I thought he might go up to Bran and then, like, kneel or something, and I'm like, that would have been an interesting twist.
That would have been an interesting twist. What's going on here?
But no. It's probably a terrible fucking idea, but...
It is, well, it's no less terrible than what... No, it is, but it's no less terrible than what they've done.
Yeah,
where he walks, they just stare at each other. Bran...
I like so the whole plan, like the plan that Jon had or whatever, was to have Bran lure them to the Godswood spot there, or wherever the fuck it was, and his last line of defense was Theon and some archers. Like, why not have like Jon there or someone like
someone of like importance.
Jon
there.
doesn't need to ride the dragon; it can fly itself around.
Exactly.
So he could have been there, and he could have had the last stand against.
Ever since like season 7, like the dragons aren't allowed to be autopilot. Like they have to have someone on their back, and that's something that I found really confusing as well.
It's just
like,
because it looks cool.
How is she like? Well, I know, but like, how is she giving orders to these fucking things when they're like a million fucking
telepathy? That's how.
Oh, nice. Okay, so everyone can do that now on this show. Cool.
Yeah, because that's Jon's specialty.
That's Jon. looking stern and speaking to dragons.
Theon. I don't know if it's like, well, Theon's disposable. We can just chuck him there. And no one's going to care if he dies.
Which is ironic because we all cared when Theon died.
I mean, Theon, like at least he was a character who'd been there for a while. Who died. He is the only character who had an arc in the show.
Oh yeah,
because he went from good to bad to good again.
To good again.
And I mean, so yeah, that's a
and his conflict was always not developed, but it was there, and you understood why he felt like he felt and what he was doing.
It probably would have felt more justified if he killed the Night King, because that's him, winning back his
honor. Yeah, I suppose.
I mean, I like that's.
I just don't think that anyone should have killed the Night King who wasn't directly involved with the White Walkers. Like, why are we like? Okay, well, obviously,
it should have been Sam. I think we all agree.
Fuck me dead. If that happened, I would have died. Fucking okay. So Arya killing the Night King. It was a typical scene from any Hollywood movie. The bad guys won, and they have a long stare off, and apparently Bran, the actor, actually needs glasses. So now all of his scenes are fucking funny to me now, where he's looking emotionless, just staring, because I'm like, he has no fucking clue what he's looking at.
He just can't see the other actors.
He can't see. And then Arya, like... I like the part where the shot is like the White Walker's hair, like moving, and I'm like... Fuck, she's gone Super Saiyan. She's running so fast that she's
just done the Naruto run and just like jumped over them.
She's gotten like
got the Sharingan.
Yeah, it's great.
So she just jumps like supposedly for a sneaky assassin, she just like leaps through like midair of like 50 feet.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And just like super sneaky. It does the stealth kill on him,
but not really because he like turns around
and then as fast as he kills Theon, like in 2 seconds,
he takes
his time for her and he's just like, well, I'll give you time to just accept. That I'm gonna
to do that thing we did to Brienne in like the last season.
Foreshadowing. Genius D&D.
Best writing. Stabs him, and then lol, the episode's over. The greatest threat that the living could ever face were fucking stumped in 1 hour and 20 minutes.
And I just like. There were no fights against like the other sort of White Walker general dudes.
I don't think they did anything the entire episode.
No, and
there was a shot where they like walked into Winterfell.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh shit, here they come. They're like,
well, I thought one of the major characters would fight one of them, kill one of them, and then be killed by the Night King or something. Like that could be Brienne's final stand, but no, she had to go and bang Jaime afterwards.
Yes, that was very important.
I mean, maybe it was just me, but I thought her being knighted would be like, oh, she finally got what she wanted all this time to be accepted, blah blah blah. And then she dies, and it's like, oh, that's like a cruel,
it's bittersweet,
cruel fate. Yeah. But no. So that's that episode.
Is there anything else from that episode specifically, like that comes up? Like, obviously, the character teleporting. What did you think of Jorah's moment when he just teleported outside? Like, he teleported behind Dany when Dany was looking at Winterfell.
And it's like, why did she even get off the dragon, though?
Oh, because she didn't fly with the dragon away, and then Drogon, like, got covered in fucking White Walkers and then pissed off, and she rolled off because she just couldn't hold on anymore. It's just like weird. And why didn't she drop Jon? Like when she saved Jon, why didn't she pick him up on Drogon and take him to the fucking Ghostwood?
Or it was like that time when she came and saved Jon or whatever, and she just sort of like sat on the dragon while all the White Walkers were coming, and she didn't fly. She just sort of like
that's what she said. What can we do? Yeah, that was pretty shit. And then I like the moving into episode 4, like just right at the start, to sort of cap this off, the part where it's like they're burning the bodies and it looks like they have like 1/20th of the bodies that they should have. And then they're in the war room and they're like, lol, well, half of our forces are depleted. Like, I'm sorry?
It looked like most of them were all dead.
It looked like they were pretty much all fucked from the scenes that you showed up.
So they just had like a bunch of soldiers just like sitting out behind Winterfell.
Yeah.
They're just reserves.
Well, the Unsullied have a respawn timer, so...
Yeah, okay, well, that's fair.
Yeah.
And, it seems like all the Dothraki pretty much are dead. There might have been like 10 left. But then we see them in episode 5 attacking the city.
That's right, and they're just all there.
They come back. I guess. I mean,
I think Dany, since season 7, has just had unlimited troops.
Yeah.
She's like
Which becomes even more apparent when the whole attack on
King's Landing. Yes, not that it's particularly important because she does it with the dragon anyway.
In one go, it doesn't even need soldiers.
Doesn't even need soldiers.
So
season 8, episode 4,
which didn't really have a whole lot going on.
What was it called? The Last of the Starks? What is it actually? What does that episode have to do with the Starks anyway?
Well, it doesn't have to do with anything really, because the only things that really happen is that one of the dragons gets killed.
Oh, I'm going to yell at that.
I think Dany forgot about the Iron Fleet.
She's up in the fucking sky. There are no clouds.
No. But if you watch the scene, they come out from behind the mountain that she's just not looking at. So
what? No. And also, we see a fucking POV shot from like behind one of these things. Bearing in mind that this isn't Call of Duty. This is not like a hit scan weapon. Like you have to arc it. Like judge the speed and the wind and all of these different factors. These things are like pinheads, and they hit it 3 times in a row. And it's like I've seen people add hit markers to that scene. It's like forever funny.
Well,
I thought it was a dream sequence. That's how bad I thought it was.
I mean, it was odd because they hit it, and I'm like, okay, whatever. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. But sure, I guess if you want to do that, and then Ashiga's like, oh, I'll fly even closer and kill them.
That's right.
And then
they all miss.
I'm like, obviously, Euron is the only one who can aim in this fucking thing, because he can manage to hit it. No one else on any of these other 50 ships can hit it. Bronn, a couple of episodes going.
Yeah, he gets it.
Yeah, he does, but doesn't hit it directly. Can only hit it once.
But Bronn's a good character, so
Well, see, I think episode 4 is when he comes in and
actually that's right. That was the scene.
He slaps Theon around, not Theon.
Tyrion.
Tyrion, and it's like one punch, and Tyrion's like, "All right, you can have high guard." And even Jaime's like, "Who wrote this shit?"
Well, that scene was so strange as well because just after that, we didn't even go into the season 8, episode 2 with the whole Daenerys being informed by Jon about the fucking him being the true heir to the kingdoms. It's fucking whatever. That was an alright scene where he found out about that, but not him. But
that actually, that is a good point because why? Who in the right mind's like? I know Jon's supposed to be a fucking moron, but why would he tell her that right before the battle?
Because that's
just gonna distract her and everyone.
He has a sixth sense for drama and tension, and he just thought that the stakes weren't quite high enough.
Episode 4 actually has another one of my most hated scenes that destroys the whole season. For me,
yes. Are we going in order through the episode, or
I can't even remember the episode because
it starts with that Bronn and Tyrion thing.
Yeah, that was pretty much all I had to say to it. It's just entirely dumb.
But he just rocks up, and it's like, also, can we just talk about the fact that the Queen thought it was a good idea to hire the bloke
who is with Tyrion.
Besties with Tyrion, but then also has proved that he is like, I can kill you, or you can one-up the previous offer, and I won't kill you. It's like...
totally untrustworthy in every way.
What the fuck? It's like, why? Like, I get that you probably don't have too many assassins left, but like, come on.
And somehow he gets from King's Landing to Winterfell in like a day.
That's right. It like happens overnight. It's really strange. Like time since season 7. Like season 7 was bad for like teleporting characters. Season 8's even worse. To the point where they may as well be like 5 minutes from each other.
Because in that same episode they're up in Winterfell, and then they get down to King's Landing in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
just doesn't take any time at all.
Like I remember the Jaime and Brienne, like the traveling of them getting from the camp where Rob was, which like bearing in mind is like a significant way down south as it is. Like then getting from there to like King's Landing takes like a season. Like it's at the end of season 3 that he actually like meets Cersei again. So it's like it's not a quick trip, to say the least.
No, but it certainly seems that way.
Now it does.
So yeah, that scene was terrible. The scene with the Iron Fleet is also quite terrible.
That has to probably be one of my least favourite moments of the whole season, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then like the meme that is Varys and everyone washing up on the fucking shore.
Well, I mean, that scene really annoys me because Grey Worm was like, Missandra, get to the life raft or whatever.
Yeah.
She goes there, and then instantly they get washed up. She's captured somehow.
And no one knows who the fuck she is.
Yeah, no one knows who she is, but somehow Cersei's like, I know you're Daenerys' best friends. That's why I'm going to hold you for ransom.
It's like, that's all she is. She's just a best friend. Like, what the... what?
No, but she's a trusted advisor.
Has she ever actually advised anything the entire time?
I don't know.
I think everything she suggested, Tyrion has been like the stupid, or Daenerys has just ignored. Yeah. So it's like...
Well, she's a black best friend. So it's her only friend in the world. Because obviously Jorah just wants to fuck her. Jon just wants to fuck her. Tyrion just wants to fuck her.
Oh, apparently.
Do you remember that scene where Tyrion's like, "Yep, I loved her
too." I thought he was speaking like, "I loved her as my queen."
Yeah,
like I thought that's what he meant.
I mean, the implication is kind of that it wasn't. It was actually like
that's kind of weird, to be honest.
But it doesn't really come out of anywhere. Like it's never really implied or mentioned or anything. I guess I thought, oh yeah, he just like admires her as the only good ruler who turns bad.
Yes.
But it doesn't really come off that way. But, anyway, whatever.
I mean, it is Tyrion. He does like, sticking his dick in places.
That's true. I mean, fair enough, I guess. So that happens. Makes no sense. And then we go to the part at, whatever it is, the Castle of the Rock.
Oh, is that season? No, it is this season.
Well, I'm talking about the part with, where...
No, this was last season. This was season 7.
Well, wherever they wash up when they have the conversation about Varys being a traitor.
That's fucking Storm. What's it called? Dragonstone.
Right, I always get too confused.
Sorry.
So yeah, so they do that, and then
sorry, Varys just his IQ drops
because he's like tells everyone, he's like, by the way, you should betray Daenerys and kill her, and then tells everyone that. And then he writes letters and sneakily he's told by that little girl, oh, they're watching you, be very careful.
Be careful. And like it's implied that he tried to poison the food as well, which is something that I found out after watching some videos. I had no idea.
No,
like
I didn't even realize that.
Such a worthless throwaway piece
and then
of
he's
text.
He's writing sneaky letters, but he doesn't ever choose to just run away, which would be the smart thing if you're like the master of secrets. You try and sneak out.
You try and be secretive.
Yes.
Discreet.
So then Daenerys is like, I've been betrayed. Someone is plotting against me. And Tyrion, instead of being like, who? Is like, oh,
Varys did it.
But I didn't even realize that watching it first. I just thought he was sort of like speculating to himself. And then Daenerys is like, okay.
And then it's like, it doesn't even work out because obviously that implies that Tyrion has been involved in this. And she's like, well, you fucked up there, didn't you? And he's just like, oh, I made another mistake. And I'm like, oh, it's like the 20th one that we've had.
And she still just doesn't really care that much.
Care. She's like, the next time you fail me will be your last. And I'm like, geez, I want as many chances as Tyrion gets.
Yeah.
Maybe I can go work at a fucking...
It just is completely baffling. And then...
he dies.
He dies in a pretty lame way. I know even Varys' actor was like, oh, that's it?
Can I just say, by the way, we have dragons, right? And I know that burning people alive is pretty fucking cool. But these dragons have never actually eaten someone. And
surely they eat someone.
Daenerys has been threatening them eating someone for a while. Like, I know that they like cooked food. Like, that's established from season 2. They only eat cooked meat. But, like, come on. Can we, like, get some dragon eating people? Like, I know
What about at Winterfell where it's like, what? Dragons have eaten all our sheep? What do they eat? And Daenerys is like,
you know what we missed? Season 4 is the celebrating episode, right? So we get to talk about Jaime fucking Brienne.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we get to talk about Tormund like, this man keeps fighting his wrote a dragon. And he's like, you wrote a dragon, dude.
Yeah, you wrote a dragon. It's not that crazy.
And we get the coffee cup, the Starbucks cup.
Oh, of course. Well, that was a highlight for me. I know. Yeah.
That was good. That was a protest from
when
the
I
guys.
look back on it, I go, that Starbucks cup, that was really the highlight of the season when you look at it objectively.
That and Sam's fucking water bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was fun fact, that actually was in every scene and it was a I Spy. You have to try and find it each frame.
Guest starring.
Yeah, guest starring the Sam's water bottle.
I mean, as Jaime fucking Brienne, I'm okay with that because I thought that would be sort of the end of it.
Well, I thought that was him like getting with someone who like deserved his love and affection.
I mean, you like the banter between them. You like that sort of thing. It's a bit sort of awkward, like sort of a bit cliche, I suppose, where they like have a little kiss, slap kind of thing, and then they get together, and she goes from angry, strong to like really weak and demure.
It was kind of weird when she came out like that. She was just like,
that's fine. She has the softer side, whatever. That's cool. But the whole thing about Jaime going back to King's Landing, I'm like, okay, I knew this was going to happen because it has to have sort of the finalization between him and Cersei. Cersei. So he goes back, and I'm like, obviously he's going to go back and then say, you never deserved me or whatever. Like some shit like that.
Fucked Brienne.
And then kill her. And I'm like, okay, everyone's going to expect that. That's fine. they might try and subvert the expectations.
But that's like what has been deserved the entire... It's like when you think of killing characters, you're like, right, Jaime's going to kill Cersei and the Hound's going to kill the Mountain. It's like those are two ones where it's like, you don't need to subvert me. Just let that happen, please.
It's like, yeah, sure, everyone knows it's going to happen, but you still want to see it. It's something that's deserved. It's a payoff to building up this tension.
Yes.
Which obviously isn't, which we'll get to that in episode 5. But he goes back and he gets captured at a little camp or whatever.
That's right. They're like, we
and then
caught him at
and Tyrion's like, you know, what are you doing? You know, this is going to cause lots of deaths. You're going to die too. And he's like, I never cared very much for the people.
Yes.
I never cared very much for the innocents. And I'm like, do you remember that scene where he spoke to Brienne in the bath or whatever it was? And he was like, I had to kill what's his name?
The Mad King.
The Mad King.
Ares.
Because he's gonna burn all these people alive.
He told me to kill my father and watch as thousands of innocent women, children, and men die. Would you do it? And it's just like, you clearly care, dude.
I mean, like, when I was watching, I was like, I kind of got the impression that he's meant to be kind of faking it. I don't know if that's just me.
Like when he's talking to Tyrion.
Yeah, like Jaime's like, oh yeah, I never cared very much for them, but it's sort of just like a cover to make Tyrion disgusted and leave. I mean, I kind of felt like a tinge of that, but it's not really displayed very well if that was the intention.
Not at all. Especially considering the fact that like 2 seconds later, he's like, lol, okay, I'll go in and I'll take Cersei and leave.
Yeah.
It's like if at that point was
like if they had done that and sort of made it a bit clearer that he was faking just to get back to go there to get to her and then kill her or end the war or whatever, and just ended the scene there rather than Tyrion telling him about sneaky boat routes
and
whatever.
That shit plan, like what the fuck? It's like, and he's like, Tyrion so clearly wants to end the war without bloodshed, but he can smuggle Cersei out, but can't we smuggle someone in to fucking kill her?
Like Arya?
If it's exactly. And also Arya just fucking gets from Winterfell down to fucking King's Landing.
They all do so quickly.
Yeah.
I mean,
and she doesn't even try to hide herself. She and the Hound are just like, let me in.
I mean, Jaime doesn't because they're like, oh, we found you because of the glowy, clinking hand.
I'm clearly the stupidest Lannister. And it's like, oh my god.
Like, that's not an excuse. Like, hanging a lampshade on it does not excuse stupid writing.
No. Same as Deadpool 2. That's just bad writing. Yes, it is. Please remove it from this film.
Exactly. So I think the part that sort of started to piss me off was the part with Missandra where they've got her up on the wall, which is the end of the episode just about, where she's captured by Cersei and is up on the wall there and they go and meet at the gate. And I'm like, okay, they got all the leaders of
this foreign invading army here with like 20 Unsullied.
I know they have the dragon at the back, but they got about 40 scorpions.
Fucking infinite scorpions that have just... Can we just say, they fucking came out of nowhere. Like, season 7, episode 4 is when we see the first, like, the Mark 1 of the scorpion, and it's shit. Like, it only, like, barely grazes Drogon, and Drogon's just like, fuck you, I have dragon armor +5.
Yeah. And
in the space of, like, fucking 6 episodes, like, obviously moving from season 7 to 8, they have developed and manufactured, like, infinitely better and like infinite more scorpions. I'm just like, where the fuck have these come from?
The workmanship in King's Landing is really it's very impressive.
Not as impressive as Pike when Euron made like 20,000 billion ships on a set of islands where there like are barely any trees from what we've seen.
And these ships are invincible. They sink Daenerys' army just like that. Because the scorpions apparently are just like amazing.
Like the best weapon.
Yeah, they just destroy the ships in a couple of shots. No defense. They can't even shoot back.
Yep.
Dragons don't do anything because they can just kill dragons.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they all forgot that he was there.
Yeah, I think she just forgot about the Iron Fleet.
Forgot about the Iron Fleet.
So yeah, they've got the scorpions there, and I'm like, okay, I understand that they've got all these scorpions aimed at them or whatever, but surely the dragon just come from the other direction and just like do a whole like if they killed Cersei, then like I know they've got Missandra there, but surely they could just
something
take out some of the scorpions to distract them.
Exactly.
Or it could come and steal Missandra.
It doesn't, like, isn't it established that she has a fucking army, like, to one side of King's Landing? Like, there's something you could do there.
And, of course, Tyrion's brilliant plan is...
I'm going to go up and, like,
I'm
present
gonna
myself.
appeal to Cersei, even though where he said in the last season or whatever... Yeah, you're a monster. I can't, we can't believe in you anymore. You just, you've totally...
And then believes in her when she said she's going to bring the army down.
Yeah, and then believes in her. And then it continues on. It's like, she's betrayed you, like, once really recently in a very important time. Why would you believe her again when she's got one of your generals held captive and is obviously going to just kill her.
Yes.
So it's just like that. That's just where complete logic just goes out the window because no one tries to do anything. They just stand there and watch.
I don't even think there was any point because they rock up and they were demanding peace, right?
Yeah.
And then give us Missandei back. Tyrion's there, stares at Cersei, then walks away, and Missandei dies anyway. Like, what was the point?
I thought Missandei would jump. And I mean, sure, she probably would have died.
Yes.
But if she could have jumped and then, Grey Worm could have run and tried to catch her, or like he could have tried to catch her and caught her and she could have lived.
No, they wouldn't have got that. That's silly. But like, as an act of defiance, it could have been cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, in terms of like their logic, she could have tried to do that and he could have tried to whatever.
Yes.
And then she could have died, as defiance to not get killed by Cersei.
Yes.
Like that. I'm like, that would have made more sense rather than just standing there.
Yes.
And Dany getting angry.
And her last words being Dracarys instead of something like Vala Morghulis, which was pointed out to me in another video where it's like, that's something her character has previously stated. Instead, she's Dracarys. So is she endorsing genocide before she dies?
Who the fuck knows?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't even think Dany knows. She looks shocked as us.
And I mean, apparently the whole point of that, I guess, was to be the tipping point that Daenerys just goes crazy completely then. Yes. But it's like, it doesn't really seem like a good trigger for me to totally drive her insane.
Trigger,
yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. So I had to drop it in there somewhere.
It's got to be subscribe to Trigger, guys.
So it was just like complete nonsense, like because no one did anything really.
No,
like I think the idea was that it's supposed to be super tense because they've got them,
but it's not because we've already in this entire fucking like 4-episode period we've already made it very clear that main characters are not gonna die like by any means unless it's like this super intense personal moment, which this is not. This is devoid of any tension because it's just.
Well, I mean, the idea I think, just to play devil's advocate, is to be like, they can't attack because they'll kill Missandei, and they can't attack because they'll get the dragon.
But then
it
neuters all tension for the entire scene. It's like, why is this in the fucking show? Like, obviously peace is gonna happen. I know it's Daenerys like fucking appeasing, working with Tyrion and being like, fine, I'll go and ask them to surrender one more time, and if they don't, I'm gonna fucking kill them. But it's like,
and yeah, I mean, the whole point stems from the nonsense though that they somehow know who Missandei is.
Yes,
and it's like, well,
how is this possible?
How does anyone know? Like Cersei might know somehow. She might have.
I don't think she's.
Like they've never met off this.
The only time they ever met.
But maybe she's got some spy said, oh, this is Daenerys' friend.
Yeah,
like, it's really flimsy reasoning.
And the only time they've ever met is season 7. Right at the end.
Yeah, and even then, it doesn't like. No, there's no
she's
knowledge.
just sitting there. She doesn't even speak.
And it's like how does she know to like? She goes up there and stands right in front of them and was like, "Yeah, I know definitely that this person is important to you. So that's what I'm going to present myself." So if she was wrong and it was just some random guy that Daenerys didn't give a shit about, she just might, just wipe them all out then.
Yeah.
So it was luck that she knew, but it's just even then. It's just there's no reason.
Episode 4 would probably be my least favorite.
No, episode 5 is my least favorite.
Now, see, episode 5 at least. We won't go to episode 5 yet because we haven't mentioned the whole Sansa being fucking bitch, disloyal, and just completely breaking her.
I haven't got to my best part yet though in that episode, which was Jon after years.
Oh, that's right.
Being so close to the Stark family, who's proved himself to be a true Stark. But finds out about his heritage as, a Targaryen. Has this tense scene where Bran says, "Oh, it's your choice to tell them all this big revelation.
Oh,
it's going to change your lives always going to change your lives from this point on. Nothing will be the same again." And he says, "Okay,
tell them."
And he goes, "Here's my secret." Cut away to another scene,
and that scene is fucking Bronn and Tyrion and Jaime in the bar. That's the scene that they cut away from.
One of the most dramatic scenes
of the entire show.
Yeah, and you just cut it. Yep. You never show it.
Never show
the reactions from Arya or Sansa.
No, I think the only reaction that we actually get is Arya leaving Winterfell. I think that's the only bit of.
But even then, like,
but it's like when I saw it, I was like, okay, so she's pissed off or whatever. I don't know, and she's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go and because she says to the Hound, "I'm not coming back. I want to go and die." So I'm like, okay, cool. She must be upset. Sansa doesn't blink and immediately betrays Jon's trust by telling Tyrion, who tells fucking Varys, who he then dobs on Varys for plotting to betray. And, like, why would you even tell Varys if, like, you don't want to plot? Because obviously Varys isn't going to, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, let's tell the guy who tells anyone all this information. Let's tell him the big secret.
And you can't even argue ignorance from Tyrion because Sansa's like, what if there's a better one? And I'm like, well, it's obvious what, angle she's coming from. And it's like, it's not like an angle that you didn't consider because that was the basis from which you got this information.
And I know Jon was dumb, but even would he, not know that Sansa's just this giant, like, tattletale will tell anyone anything?
I hate Sansa. I think Sansa's one of the weakest characters of the whole show.
I spoke to someone and they said Sansa's their favourite character, and I always found that pretty odd.
I mean, I suppose...
Like, I guess her character development...
How does she develop?
She changes from, I guess, like a demure little princess to, like, a strong plot. Like, she joins the Game of Thrones by plotting against other people.
But she doesn't plot, though. Like, okay, what? So she goes with Littlefinger, she gets sold to Ramsay. The entire past few seasons, she's just been mistreated by the various members of the Lannisters.
Yeah, but I think the point is that she becomes hardened and wants revenge.
Well, she doesn't do anything, though. Like, the only thing that she does is the Vale coming to the Battle of the Bastards.
Yeah.
That was her. And killing Littlefinger.
Well, I think her conflict with Littlefinger was kind of her entire sort of arc. Like, he was her rival, or whatever you want to call it, her foil. Well, the only reason... He was the one who taught her, and then he taught her the way that she eventually used to plot against him and get him.
Even though that was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous and terrible, and terrible writing as well. But, I mean, I think that was the idea that they were going for. I'm playing too much devil advocates here. I'm really sort of trying to understand the writing.
I'm trying to understand
that's
Game
the
of
thing.
Thrones.
It's not like I think the writing is good in any way, because it's not. It's fucking trash fire.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to understand what in their minds.
I agree with you. And you know what? Like, even like in conversation, I think season 7, like, we don't need to like fucking ramp on that for too long, because whilst it obviously has its shit moments in season 7, like various plot lines and whatnot, like, and it's bad, and sometimes it would be arguably as bad as season 8. I don't think it's nearly as egregious.
No.
Like, which is unfortunate. Like, the Littlefinger thing is unfortunate because he's a character. Like, I saw a post on Facebook the other day. It's like, remember when Game of Thrones was, sort of, you were given the impression that it was like this intense chess game between Varys and Littlefinger, and it was like, that was really cool. And it's like, it was so downplayed when he died, so it sucks. But at the same time,
for both of them, it was downplayed when they died. Like,
yeah.
I thought their two, like, again, they sort of have their own rivalry there. And I thought that would kind of end in some kind of conflict, but they sort of separated from each other so much for the show.
I think they forgot about each other by the end.
Yeah, so it just was not even involved.
Yeah, honestly, I forgot that like Littlefinger was even a thing for a while, because the second he was like, I'm going to go and marry Sansa's aunt in the Vale. Like, the second that he like said that and fucked off, the show forgot he existed. He like did that all off screen. Like, we didn't get to see any of that conversation between them, even though that would be really interesting. Like, obviously it was, we later found out in a nice twist that obviously the aunt had, killed fucking Jon Arryn, the previous Hand of the King, and blah, 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 blah. Like, there was a nice twist, but, it still would have been cool to, like, follow him and see what he's doing.
Considering how present he was in the show for...
At least the first 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah,
he was, like,
for that.
really
but I mean,
there.
he was still, you knew he was up to something, and he had all this, like, his hand in every pie or whatever. So he obviously was going to come back with some reasoning, some, point to it, and he just gets sort of killed off unceremoniously in, like, the last episode of the last season.
Yeah,
and
he's just dead.
It's just dead. He's, like, he never really ever achieved anything.
No.
He's just kind of, like, trying to, I guess...
It seemed like his entire scheme for the throne towards the end was, I'm going to fuck Sansa and marry Sansa, and then I'll be on the throne. And it's like, previously, you've had, like, 16 steps planned out in your brain as to how you're going to do this. You've worked your way up from, the Master of Coin to being a literal Lord of the fucking Vale. Like one of the strongest houses in Westeros, in arguably the most impenetrable location in Westeros. And that was just sort of like, okay, I've done that. What can I do? Fuck Sansa. That's it. That's what I'm going to do. That's my trump card.
That's the genius plan, yeah.
And I'm just like, it seems a little stupid, especially considering it's been pre-established that Sansa isn't that keen on that sort of a thing. Like her character has never come across as like...
I mean, did he really think he could convince her to marry him?
No.
I can't really see that happening. Like, maybe, like, in season 5 or something, back when they were in the Vale or whatever, maybe...
Oh, they had that weird chemistry thing, which was uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, like, that's what I mean, though. It could have been, like, maybe sort of pushed then, but now at this point, like, I guess maybe that's the thing is that the girl he trained up ended up overcoming, like, surpassing him.
I mean, it's a novel idea, but I just think that once again, rushed.
Executed poorly, yeah.
Rushed. So rushed and just done really bad.
Yeah.
Like, I feel another thing as well, another point that was raised that I saw is like how small Game of Thrones feels now. Like, remember in the first like 4 or 5 seasons when you're hopping to like a bunch of different like cities and places and continents, and you get to see all these interesting
and season
places.
8 is Winterfell, King's Landing.
And yeah, exactly. And it's like the intro perfectly sums it up. It's the Wall, the fucking Winterfell, what was the fucking one where the Umbers are? I don't even know, Last Hearth or whatnot. And then King's Landing. Like, you don't see anything across, like, the second, like, in season 7, it's like the Iron Bank's going to support Cersei. You're like, okay, cool, I might get to see something back over in Bravos. Nah, they just teleport the Golden Army there.
Yeah, so they got the Golden Company come over, and they bring, what was it, 20,000 men?
Yeah, 20,000 men and, like, thousands of horses, even though the only horse
Yeah, there's the one horse.
The one horse.
Which we'll get to in...
And no elephants.
No elephants.
No elephants.
Which would have been cool to see if they did have elephants.
No, I'm glad they didn't have elephants, because if they had elephants, I'm just like, fuck me.
I mean, if we're talking about trying to have an actual battle, which there wasn't, you might have had something interesting going on with the elephants. Elephant versus dragon battle,
No, I'll just go watch Lord of the Rings, honestly.
Fair. That's fair.
Oh, really? Like, they don't have the budget for fucking ghost petting. I don't think they had the budget for elephants.
the ghost petting, yeah. That's when they ran out of money. They could throw in any other shit, but ghost petting. So.
I love that part at, like, season 8, episode 3. It's like Ghost running into battle with the fucking Dothraki. He's fine. Season, like...
He loses an ear.
That's right. And then it's, like, confirmed, like, the next thing... He's just there, and he's like, hey, guys, I'm okay. I survived, just to let you know. It's like they remembered, like they cropped him in each of these scenes. This is awkwardly there.
Yeah, and no one's like paying attention. No one's doing anything with him or anything.
No one fucking likes him. No one's liked him since season 5.
Is it episode 4 when they leave Winterfell where they're just like...
And Jon just looks at him.
It's like, Ghost, you go with them. I'm not interested in you anymore.
Fuck you, Ghost.
Yeah, and it's like...
I've got dragons now.
I've got a pet dragon now.
I don't want you.
I'm like, come on, man. It's like the last direwolf left.
It's like, that should be one of the strongest character relations, man. It's like, season 1, his puppy. Get together, bro. Have sex. Do it.
I mean, like, it's
just... I don't know why I'm saying have sex. Bestiality. Do it.
Don't worry. I'll cut it out.
Okay. No, it's okay.
I won't, though.
No. Yeah, I won't, though.
So I think that's pretty much all episode 4 that I've got.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. See, episode 4 is one of those, again, like, heavy dialogue ones, but it's where the dialogue is so standout bad that it's just like, yeah, I honestly can't, like, Grey Worm. Do we want to talk about how Grey Worm has just become really uninteresting now?
He acts as if he was ever interesting.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at least before, like, he had something to do. Now he's just there and he's angry.
Yeah, well.
I don't know.
Like, it doesn't really ever become anything. It just becomes, he's just like a mini Daenerys in the last couple of episodes.
Yeah.
So he's just angry too.
And it's funny because it's like the point of conflict as well. It's like, wouldn't he be speaking out at Dany for like his entire relationship with Dany is that he was freed from slavery to serve with her and to protect innocence and free other, people who are, in slavery, in captive and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of would be interesting for him to...
Well, wouldn't he be speaking out about the fact that she's, like, plotting to fucking kill tens of thousands of people?
I guess the thing is, when Missandei died, he was sort of... Like, his anger
His heart died with Missandei.
Yeah, his anger overtook everything else, I guess. I mean,
fuck's sake.
Again, this is just D&D wanking into a cup and thinking thinking that counts as writing, I guess.
Oh, man. There was a point when I used to get... Like, obviously, those first episodes were really cool. Like, the first few seasons were really cool. Up to, like, season... Not necessarily. I know a lot of people don't necessarily think 5 and 6 are that great. I believe that season 1 to 6 is really good. Like, if someone was to come up to me and be like, hey, what seasons of Game of Thrones should I watch that are, like, legit great? I'd be like, season 1 to 6. Watch up to there. Season 7's okay. It has its moments. But 1 to 6, and like whenever their names would come up, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a good episode. Something's gonna happen here. I was like, it was, obviously the first 1 to 4 seasons, generally it was something. 5 and 6 had their off moments here and there. We spoke, there were obviously moments where
Yeah, there were ups and downs in each one, but I think at
like
least
quipping became a thing.
they all had a few good moments. But yeah, season 8 where it's just kind of like every sort of cliche was just flanderized into this huge problem where it's like, oh, Tyrion quips about Varys not having any balls.
Oh, fuck me dead.
And then he comes up with the plans. That's his character now.
Remember when Varys used to scheme as well? It's like he stopped scheming the second he got to Marine.
His scheme was that he wants to go against Daenerys by being really obvious about it.
Oh, that's right. He not only did he stop scheming, but his like scheme level went down like 100%. He had to he like started a new character when he got back to Westeros.
Yeah, he was a level 1 thug instead of a
level 100 eunuch.
Yeah, so he really wasted potential, I think, with Varys.
Yeah.
Because I thought he would live to the end and try and scheme something else.
Well, you'd think that he and Littlefinger, like, that would be, like, the final conflict. Like, I feel like they represented, like, at the heart, the conflict between all of the lords, like, that petty squabble. And can I just say, one of the things I love about Game of Thrones, at least, old Game of Thrones, from, like, 2014, you know what I mean? Like, those first few seasons.
Yeah.
Like, what I love about it is it's, like, I hate TV, generally. It's why I never watched it. Because I find that TV often has one plot line, and that one interesting plot line is the long game, and then they fill in all of the episodes with
less interesting
stuff. Game of Thrones is really interesting and well done in the sense that they set up 3 things in the first season. You have the immediate game, which is this political, like, fucking, like, this, like, the politics and all of these characters coming to, like, the different lords, the different kings, all of these people coming together and clashing, and like all of this secrecy and backstabbing and whatnot, like really compelling stuff. Then they've set up 2 long games. They've set up the White Walkers, which are like the long game. Like they're like the Thanos of the Marvel universe. Like you only see them here and there. I know it's a bad comparison, but I mean, it's probably valid considering that season 8 came out the same time that Infinity War.
They're the final boss.
Yeah. But it's like you see only very small bits of the White Walkers throughout the whole thing. And it's like, they're built up as the most dangerous things. That's why I maintain that they should have been where the show ended. And then the other long game is Daenerys over in the East. East, dealing with, obviously, all of the slave stuff. So it's like you have a lot of different viewpoints to go to, and everything is compelling, and they've set up a long game, so you have something that you're excited for here, and they just balance it really well. And it's just... how they lost that.
Like I said before, as soon as the books ended, they could tell they were struggling to keep up the quality to that same level.
Oh, absolutely.
Which, I mean, I can understand.
You want the bad pussy.
Yeah.
That line.
I'll throw that clip in there.
Please do. Can you just have me, like...
I'll put your voice while the clip plays.
I want you... You need a good girl, but you want the bad pussy.
Jesus Christ.
And then your face cringing. You can be Bronn.
Yeah. The whole thing, like the writing just took a nosedive, I think.
Yeah.
It was sort of a slow decline, and then this season it just pinged right down.
Oh, fuck me.
But episode 5, okay.
Okay. Do you want to... You can set the scene. Go for it.
Well, basically...
Fire away.
Danny mad, and, no logic remains.
No.
So Tyrion, in episode 4, I think, said... If you hear the bells ringing...
So, if you hear the bells ring and they raise the gates, it's them surrendering. Yep. Please do not... Even though in season 2 it was established, fucking... Who said it? Fucking old mate, the Onion Knight, was like, I've never known bells to mean surrender. And then it's like, I hate bells. They always mean massacre or flames or...
I mean, it's very poor foreshadowing, I suppose you could say.
No. No, not foreshadowing. What I mean is, like, they've established that bells don't mean surrender in King's Landing.
Yeah, but I mean...
But now bells mean surrender.
No, but I think that's the point, is that they set up, like, they're like going, oh, bells aren't actually surrendering, get it? Because she's not going to let them surrender. Like...
Oh, okay.
I think it's just a terrible way of trying to sort of lead up to... Oh, she's never going to be good like you think she's going to be. So she agrees to go, yeah, whatever, I'll stop the fighting because there's no point.
Who? That's Cersei?
Daenerys.
Oh, Daenerys, yeah.
Says, okay, well, I'll keep it.
We'll keep an eye out. Wink.
Yeah, and then...
so how does it start?
Well, they just do the dragon just raising
That's
shit.
right, the dragon, once again...
annihilates all the scorpions in about 5 seconds.
Yeah, Euron can't hit shit.
Why didn't you just do that straight away? None of these guys can hit anything. Dragon just annihilates all the scorpions in one shot. Yeah. I'm still not really sure how the dragonfire can just, like, destroy a solid brick.
Especially considering, like, not even solid brick, like, in season fucking 6... just as they were leaving, like when they were killing the Masters ships, the Armada that came in to take over Marine, like they had the dragons obviously attacking that fleet. But it was shown when they were trying to take out just one of the Master's ships, and bearing in mind they're full grown now. Like maybe they're a little bit bigger in season 8, but like it's been established that she has 3 full grown dragons. Like they consistently burn one boat for like 40, 50 seconds before it fucking sinks. And now
now they're stronger.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
I mean, it was already pretty unbelievable when the White Walker dragon destroyed the wall, just like 5 seconds.
No, but see, like that I could at least go with just because it's the force of the breath, but then also like it's hot, so it's going to melt the wall as well.
Yeah, but the wall's not solid ice.
It's primarily ice. It's ice and stone.
Yeah, the stone. It's not going to just.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I guess it's supposed to be like super mega hot that can melt stone.
He's got the fucking Night King on the back. It's fine.
But when it goes through, it's like as if it's shooting like fucking heat-seeking missiles that just like annihilates. Like the part at the end of the episode where she like does the spin around the tower and just like breathes and just like destroys the entire tower.
Bit of bullshit there, to be honest.
Yeah, so she just annihilates them, breathes through the front gate just like from behind.
Yeah.
The entire Golden Company is just ruined in about 5 seconds.
And that's it. That's the battle.
Yeah, the 20,000 Gold Company soldiers, which look like about 200 to me.
Yeah, it doesn't look great. And like the cavalry's not there.
And apparently the head of the Golden Company is like a major character in the books, or at least more of a character than he is here.
That would explain why he actually got like an intro in season 8 and then promptly died.
Where he had like, a couple of lines or whatever.
We are here to serve you, my queen. And then fucks off.
Yeah, and
John actually wrote his dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very good, John. So he just fucking dies. They all die. So they just instantly annihilate them. The battle's over in about 5 minutes. But of course.
But conflict has to happen.
Yeah, there has to be some kind of conflict because, we're subverting your expectations. So.
And when I was watching that scene, because obviously the bells ring. And I think it's implied that Jamie rings them. I heard that from someone on YouTube.
I don't think so.
I didn't think so either.
Because he's only in the sort of the shore area. But it's like
that's right, because he has to get up and fight Euron, and that's
so
after the city's
he wouldn't run to the
down.
city, ring the bells, and run out, get in the boat, and go back down around to the shore.
Yeah, that's fair, actually. Disregard
So
that.
I think it's just a random person or a soldier or whatever.
Anyway, they ring the bells.
So they ring the bells, that's fine.
But like, what would have been cooler? And then obviously Dany's sitting there and like...
just checking out.
Fuck! I have to burn the city because why not? What would have made more sense and what I thought they were going to do is that Cersei is so arrogant and proud that she wouldn't ring them. And that's what pushed Dany over, like, after all she's sacrificed and after all she's been through.
I mean, technically Cersei doesn't ring them.
No, but what I mean is, like, I think it would have just made sense flat out if they didn't ring them. Like, whether it's by her command or whatnot, because then at least that would give some more reason for Dany going nuts. It wouldn't be very good reason, but at least it's like...
Yeah, I mean...
it's something.
The only part of the episode that I really liked was sort of the standoff they had before the fighting started, where they go there and the King's Landing guys all sort of just like, you're not quite sure whether or not they're going to attack, and they're sort of like, it's kind of almost sad. It's like they're just completely outmatched, and they're just kind of like, they give up, and I'm like, okay, there's like some sense here.
You mean the Lannisters with Jon and that?
Yeah,
and that
like
scene,
when they've got them cornered, and everyone's just like, yep.
Fuck it. Yeah, can't win this.
They're totally done, and they give up, and I'm like, okay, that's sort of like, it proves that that city is not beholden to Cersei. And it's like...
it shows a level of independence.
Yeah, like the whole point is that the Game of Thrones isn't everything, and that they can sort of,
make decisions of their own.
Yeah, there's some independence there. So it's not, these people who are competing for the throne aren't the only ones involved. And then Dany she looks and she just rees and just cannot control herself. Her little Targaryen urges just get too far. And I've heard people say the reason she went crazy was because she's a Targaryen.
Fuck. Well, then why isn't Jon crazy?
It's in their blood to go crazy and just kill people and go on a massacre. And I'm like, yeah, why doesn't Jon do it? And I'm like, I don't think, going crazy and becoming like a mass murdering genocider is genetic.
No, I don't think that's... No.
Like, there's... Like, the Mad King...
And, like, plus I've heard... I've seen videos and whatnot about Aerys, his situation. Like, apparently there's a lot going on there regarding his insanity about, captivity and, just... Yeah, like, I mean... Like, his wife died... Like, people died...
Like obviously, like he was driven to that point by things happening, by, like, the temptation of the throne or the game or whatever is what drew him to that. And I get maybe the concept was that Dany's lust for the throne is what has driven her this, because she's been so desperate to get to it, it's cost her everything to get there.
Yeah.
I get that's the point, but it doesn't make any fucking sense.
No, it doesn't. Like, it could have worked, this whole thing of her going evil, but it's like, it's done so quickly. With what we have, the only way that we can justify it is that people who she knows are dead, but it's like, fucking, like, there are people in this universe who have more of a right to be pissed off at Cersei, even in this season, than fucking Dany.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it just doesn't make sense. And then she's just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna nuke the town. And the town is nuked.
And it's just, but not even, like, if she attacked, like, big barracks things of surrendering soldiers, even I would be happy about that. But her whole thing from the early seasons was that, we have to protect the innocent. There's that part where Jorah's like, there's 200,000 slaves within the city.
There's 200,000 reasons for us to take the city.
Exactly. So, like, that is just the pinnacle of nonsense, because she looks down, she sees all the running away innocent people with kids and
she aims for them.
Yeah, and she aims for them. And I'm like, I get the point is to be like, oh, she's driven so far, there's no going back now.
But wouldn't you just attack the Red Keep?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why she didn't do that at the start, just kill Cersei.
I thought that's what she was going to do when she took off. I thought she was making a beeline for Cersei, because it's like, they have shot, reverse shot. Well, not shot, reverse shot, but like, they have a close-up of Dany, flick to a close-up of Cersei, close-up of Dany, close-up of Cersei, and then she goes. And I'm like, okay, so she's going for Cersei. You're led to believe that they have eyesight of each other. Obviously they don't, but it's like, it's like, there's a connection. Instead, she's just like, lol. And it cuts back, and like, she's like fucking 300 meters away, burning randoms.
And it's just like the whole thing with just like this outward attacking on the civilians. Like, she just straight up goes for it, and there's just like no remorse, no thought behind it.
No.
And it's just totally just bizarre to me. Like, it just doesn't read like any kind of logical connection.
No, it doesn't at all.
With what's previously happened.
It's like she said multiple times in previous videos, I don't want to be Queen of the Ashes, and things like, it just, there's no reason for it. And like, not to mention the collateral for her own troops who are in this fucking city.
The funny part though is that she doesn't even like destroy a line towards the Red Keep or anything. She like goes down street by street and just like burns everything. Like, the city is just nothing left pretty much after she's done.
It makes no sense.
And
I mean, it does provide. And see, this is one of those really hard things, because when I asked you again if it looked nice, you're like, yeah, sure. And I watched it and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty. And I'm constantly amazed at how this show looks. Like, I don't watch a lot of TV, so I don't know, maybe a lot of shows look this nice. But this looks like something that you go to the cinema and watch. Like, the special effects are really great. So I'm sitting there like, this looks nice, but fuck it, shit. But at the same time, this whole scene does provide some fun stuff with Arya at least escaping. Like, it makes no sense. Like, I've seen kill counters of her like dying 3 times.
The part where she just like is right in front of the flames. The flames like go over her.
She's fine.
Yeah, and she's totally fine. There's just no reason for it at all.
No.
Like, you could have had her avoid the flames.
Yeah, you could have like shown 2 more seconds of her hiding. Like, apparently rocks are like the bane of Dragon's Fire. So maybe she could have hid behind a rock.
That's what I'm saying. That's what the Night King should have done.
Yeah,
I don't know.
just take rocks around him.
Just to keep up the rock work there. But unless it's part of the wall, and then they're useless.
Yeah, if it's the wall, if it's any kind of wall, you're fucked.
But if it's just like a rock that only slightly covers you, then you're golden.
Because the density is like there's less like pressure and shit, and it's like it's better. No.
I always found it strange with any of these big battles how Dany can afford to get all these like the dragon glass or whatever made for every weapon in the whole entire army.
Yes.
But can't get some blacksmith to make some dragon armor.
That was a big thing as well.
That would stop the scorpion.
Yeah. Stop that, or the fucking White Walker spears, which have proven to be even more fatal.
I mean, I could understand if it wouldn't stop the White Walker magic spear or whatever, but surely it would.
But surely that would
stop a direct kill by the scorpion.
Yeah, by the scorpions at least, and like surely the White Walker spear would have been an instigator for that. For like, okay, shit, like he one-shot a dragon. Maybe I should like.
And I mean, even after they killed the other dragon.
Nothing.
Yeah, with Euron, she said 1 dragon left, and she still doesn't go,
dragon
maybe
armor.
When I'm doing this attack on this huge city, maybe now would be a good time.
For some armor.
Yeah.
And then at least, then you could have had the scorpion turrets hit the fucking dragon and bounce off or something.
Or like cause dents and injure it a bit or something.
Yeah, maybe one like does what Bronze did, like the Mark 1, slightly injure it, but it's not enough to fuck up because Drogon's like, fuck you, I'm in the next Godzilla movie.
Yeah, so Dany goes crazy and does a big attack on the city, but that's the signal for Grey Worm to start throwing spears around. And then Jon's like, no, everyone stop. And then they all just run past him, ignore their commander, and just start attacking. And like suddenly the Winterfell soldiers or whoever
I don't care
become
anymore.
completely bloodthirsty. There's that scene where they try and rape the
That's
girl or
right.
whatever.
And Jon saves that one girl from rape.
And I'm like, but I don't get the impression they do that, especially and like try and like shove away Jon as he's trying to save this.
Yeah,
girl.
it's like direct mutiny against the guy who's like, as far as they're aware, is going out with the queen. Like,
yeah, and he's the commander. He's the, there's the Lord of Winterfell or whatever.
It's like,
yeah, let's just ignore him and start raping some King's Landing women.
Let's fight. Let's try and kill him because this is very important.
I'm not sure if it's trying to be some kind of message about how this war has made everyone like
monsters.
Yeah,
What? Yeah,
and it's just like either a really terrible like message or meaning behind the script, or just makes no sense. I mean, either case is just terrible.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the fucking Arya Sender Clegane slowly walking up the fucking place instead of no urgency, and then they walk through the fucking gates with Jaime behind them and the gates shut. It's like, well, man, we got there just in time. It's almost like the fucking script said that we got there within 20 seconds.
And then Clegane is like, Arya, you should probably go. You came all the way here, but now I think you should go.
And she's just like,
okay,
lol, yeah. Okay. Even though it was established that she had accepted that she was going to die.
Yeah.
And also, another thing was pointed out to me, this is more of a season, like the last episode thing, but it's like, her going, like, isn't there always meant to be a Stark in Winterfell?
Yep.
Actually, no, sorry. No, actually, so...
Bran or Sansa would be.
Yeah, no, Sansa and Bran are, sorry, this isn't relevant till the next episode when they were all just spontaneously down there for the king ceremony. Anyway, she's come all the way down, she's established that she's gonna die, gets there, she gets within like 2 minutes of Cersei, and Sandor, because one bit of rubble comes down because the dragon's back, and Sandor's like, you could die.
And she's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know.
That's why I accepted it the last episode. It's like, well, I guess you should go, And
she's like, oh, okay.
Okay, I've decided after being training as an assassin for years.
Yep.
I think I'll just stop doing that.
I mean, I think it's perfect that her character doesn't kill Cersei Lannister, but kills the Night King.
Yeah, it's a real great arc.
It's like, it's brilliant. Oh my fuck, my brain's hurting.
And then I found it odd. Like, I suppose he sort of, wanted to focus on the mountain, but Clegane just like lets Cersei just run past.
Yeah, that was really weird. And then I also like the fact that like in the fight leading up to the mountain, like before Cersei and that leave, he's versing the other Kingsguard, and he like one-shots them, even though they're meant to be like the best knights in all of Westeros. And the fact that their armor was useless against him. But then his brother's armor, which is the same armor that he just fucked up, is completely impervious to all of his sword strikes.
As we've already established, armor is useless in this universe because it just like any weapon will just cut right through it or do nothing.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, the fight between them was okay.
No, I disagree with you there.
No, but I mean, it didn't even end in any kind of good way. Like, I get the idea is that they fell into fire, and that's what Sandor's afraid of.
It's a metaphor,
but it doesn't even like it's not a way where it's like, oh, I have to leap into the fire to get him. They just like fall into some void of fire, and that's it.
Because the best I can't wait for the spin-off series where he like survives and he's even more burnt.
Yeah, exactly.
They call him the burnt.
That's the Arya spin-off series. That
nice. He'll show Sandor Clegane will rock up.
Yeah, so Arya just runs away. She gets like 10 people killed by trying to save them.
That's right. That was
forcing them out into the fire.
But that's like the shot of her running from that falling tower. Whilst it's one of the Arya kill scenes, is probably one of my favorite shots of the episode. Like, I just think it looks really cool. Like, I think the effects and makeup for her are really nice. Like, it looks like she got fucked up.
Yeah, but...
More fucked up
It would have been nice if she actually got fucked up.
Yeah, I was going to say, as opposed to season, like, the 3rd episode where she, like, slams into a wall.
But, I mean, it sure is lucky that a magical horse appears out of nowhere and just takes her to safety. And why is it really filmed so weird, that scene? Like...
I think they think that it means, like, are we meant to interpret that it's Bran bringing her a horse?
Well, that's what a lot of people think, is that Bran was walking into the horse and brought it there to save her, but... I don't think that's ever really established at all. It's never really mentioned or brought up or described in any way.
Literally, it's never mentioned again.
But I mean, again, like I think I'm reading way too much into thinking there's actually deeper meanings in this script. But like, I thought it was like she's realized that the killing is not the way to go. This is her like escape from that life or whatever.
Okay.
Again, I'm just jerking off D&D by thinking they can write, which is my first mistake. So,
well, it's like even then, just to go back to the Sandor fight scene as well. Sorry to keep like jumping around.
That's right.
For, like,
that's
different
what we
things.
do.
That's what we do. Fucking Friday night rants and bants. It's good stuff. TM. Even if it's on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like that fight scene, season 1, episode 4 or 5. There's the tourney, and you get to see Sandor Clegane fight the old fucking Sir Gregor before they recast him, but with that fucking bloke. I don't know his name. That fight scene was better than this fight scene was. Like, to the point where, like the choreography was better, it was better filmed, like, it was, like, more of a wide, from what I remember. It was, like, just far better.
The problem was they fight on some fucking staircase.
They fight on
somewhere.
a staircase.
Most of it isn't with weapons, they just sort of grapple each other.
Yeah, like, towards the end, they're just grappling. Fucking Gregor is out of his armor and is apparently impervious to dagger stabs for some reason. I suppose it's because he's, like, a zombie now. Can I also say the effects for him, I don't like.
They're pretty terrible.
They're pretty shit. And then he's just, like, he starts, like, fucking doing the same thing to Sandor. I had that same problem in the book. I couldn't distinguish the two. Like, to split his head open. And he doesn't talk this entire time. And I don't know if it's because he can't talk because he got fucked up being saved.
I thought it would be a good climactic point where he can sort of mutter a few words to his brother as they fight to the death.
I thought that was
something.
exactly.
Like, I know he's a zombie, but come on.
Come on, guys.
Bit of dramatic.
Yeah, and then it's like, Sandor doesn't even get the fucking pleasure of killing him. They just jump into the fire. And I'm just like, this is a battle that we've been waiting to have happen since
like the lamest
first
fucking
season.
death.
Oh, it's not the lamest death.
Well, no.
We got one more death
I was
to
about
go.
to say, it's the lamest death until... Well, I mean, we have Jamie just showing up at the shore, and then Euron just stumbles along, and he's like, Jamie...
I just swam 200 kilometers.
This show, when we can't figure out how to write, we're going to just have a fight in there.
Yes.
So let's just fight, because I fucked Cersei.
That's right.
So...
I fucked Cersei, and I didn't question the fact that Tyrion knew that my waifu was pregnant when I only found out about 20 minutes ago.
So let's just fight.
Yeah, let's
and
just have a go.
Jamie the whole time is like, I'm not interested. Sorry.
Literally don't want to. There's no point. The dragon's up there fucking it up. The war's over. Fuck off, Euron. Nah.
And he just like has a little bitch fight. Jamie gets stabbed.
That is a really bad fight too.
That's terrible. Yeah, that's the one I really dislike. The Sandor one is okay compared to that.
But the Sandor one is like a masterclass compared to that.
Because that one's just like two idiots just like punching each other on the beach.
Shaking each other in the fucking
And it's
leg.
just like surely Jamie, even with his lost hand,
Left arm,
would just like fuck up Euron, because Euron, I don't think he's sober enough to really put up much of a fight.
I don't think fucking Euron's half there.
No.
I think Euron's only capable of thinking about sex or his battleships, and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much. And I thought the point would be outside of the battleship, he'd be pretty
shit.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe. Yeah,
I know in the books he's meant to be much better.
The books is a completely different character. He's like
dark
focused on
magic,
dark magic and stuff. Yeah,
he has an eye patch and shit.
Yeah, I know. Where's the eye patch?
Yeah.
Come on,
No,
put him in the character.
Not allowed.
Maybe people would be confusing him with the fire sword guy. So
oh, that's right. Just put on the other eye.
Too
honestly.
many eye patches.
Too many eye patches.
So they have this shitty fight. Jamie wins, but it's got a wound, which is completely pointless. So you're like, oh no, poor Jamie. But then I was like, okay, so his last act before he dies, he's going to kill Cersei, and then he's going to bleed out like with her in his arms. And it'll be like, okay.
It'll be an emotional moment.
Yeah. I'm like,
can we just say him walking after those stab wounds? Like, he got stabbed in the leg at one point.
He got more fucked up than Euron.
Yeah,
for the most
and then
part.
Euron just got stabbed in the chest and died.
And then he was completely fine after that. Like, it didn't even show.
The Euron staring at the fucking, the camera, I killed Jaime Lannister. And it's like, woo!
And it's like, yep, the person who kills the best character in the show, Jamie, is fucking, fucking Euron.
It's gonna lead in there. I don't have anything intelligent to say. Tyrion's the best character though, fuck you.
Okay, well, anyway.
Was the best character until season 7, but...
Was. So he goes there, and Cersei is sad. She suddenly becomes like this pathetic little whiny coward because she realizes...
I want my child to live.
And then no one cares.
No, we're like, fuck you.
So then they die because the roof falls.
That's right.
Which we see in episode 6, next to the pile of bricks.
No, hold on. Don't you have to sit... Episode 6 is an hour and a half conversation of itself.
Jeez.
But yes, the roof falls. It's the most unsatisfying death of all time. One of the most hated characters, but best characters in Game of Thrones, Cersei Lannister. And Jamie, who was one of the best characters. I don't know why I weirdly whispered after you. I was like, oh, there's a cue there. I better jump in. He is the best character, though, at this point. Jamie. But completely, fucked by the end. That whole Brienne thing, him leaving, his fucking arc was ruined. especially with this going back to Cersei
I think
Lannister.
if he killed Cersei, it would have saved it somewhat.
I think it would have made it okay, but that's like having Tyrion quip something intelligent occasionally, making it okay that he's dumb now. It's just like, I don't know. I don't think it would have done anything really.
No, it's a bit of a
like
waste
yes,
of time.
you're correct. It would have redeemed it, but not fully.
No.
So then they just get flattened, and I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, I guess seeing Cersei answer to the families for all of the crimes that she's committed against them isn't going to happen. I guess her dying to Arya, which would make in my like the Jaime killing would be cool, but like if that wasn't going to happen, then why not get Arya to kill her?
Well, I thought it's like one of the Starks for Ned.
Yeah,
killing her.
Yeah,
would have
made so much more sense, and it's just like no, she gets flattened by
some rocks.
Rubble, and
like they see the exit that's been blocked off by the
Yeah.
rubble, whatever. You can see light out of it. Surely you would try and scrabble the bricks.
oh, you do something
and try and get out. Like
surely you just fuck off back the way you.
I mean, if they're going to get crushed by rocks by just standing there, surely getting crushed by rocks as you're trying to escape would make more sense.
Yeah.
Why are we standing there?
Yeah, it's just oh my gosh, it just. And like it doesn't even I can't do it. My entire conversation is fucking. Is there anything else for episode 5?
I think that's all I've got.
Is that all you've got? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Guys, if there's anything else, let us know and we'll do a fucking sequel to this one. Episode 6.
Episode 6.
Now, historically, the final episode for each season of Game of Thrones is obviously the aftermath episode. So, usually the second to last is where all the shit happens.
But also something happens.
Something
important.
big usually happens. Yeah. I think the one that started breaking the mold of this was season 5. Because in episode 8 was Hardhome, which was probably one of my favourite battle scenes of the whole show, to be honest. It gave the White Walkers a lot of weight to them, to see like the entire fucking wildling force die, pretty much. And then episode 9 was the Daenerys like dragon, like gladiator pit dragon fight.
Yeah.
And then 10 was obviously, her and the I can't remember. It was like everyone going off to look for her and blah, 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 blah. But like historically, the second to last episode is where shit happens.
Sure.
So obviously in this case, it's just going to be wrapping up all of the shit. And
Well, they've got to try and mop it up. And I'm like, okay, you've got, an hour and a half, whatever.
I think this was actually closer to an hour, this episode.
So they've got, whatever time, 60 minutes. And there's a lot to clean up.
There is a lot of shit to clean
do.
up.
And I'm like, okay, you can still try and save some of this if you're smart with your writing. And I know that's ironic considering the past 5 episodes. But
come on, guys, just get something right, please.
yeah, they've got this, and they just waste so much time on nothing.
I think the first 30 minutes is just following. You open? First of all, Arya rode out at the end of the fucking 5th episode. That was where the episode ends. She rode out of King's Landing, supposedly fucking off. At the start of the episode, she's fucking turned around and come back, and now she's just watching Jon walk like between the Dothraki and Unsullied.
The part I love with this, because it just makes no sense at all, is Jon's conversation with Grey Worm. They've got the
Lannister
soldiers on their knees there, and then Jon's like, "Okay, you gotta wait because I'm going to talk to Daenerys and we're going to figure out these guys are prisoners. We can work
out this shit."
And Grey Worm's like, "Okay, go and talk to her."
Kills them
and then
anyway.
He just kills them immediately.
Anyway.
And Jon just like walks away and he's like,
I'm not going to intervene.
I guess
here.
I won't stop them.
Yeah.
I've never been known as an honourable person.
I've never been a person who's like actively risked my life for the sake of what I believe in before. Fuck it. Well, let's leave these men to die.
Too busy because my queen.
Yeah, my queen. And then like the next episode, I loved that, by the way. Thank you to the guy who pointed out to me like that compilation of like just my queen. But like then like literally the next scene is him walking up the steps towards like the fucking throne, and then Grey Worm's just there. He beat him there. He's so efficient at killing that he could like fucking kill and then teleport.
And can I just say, when Jon walks up those stairs,
he hit redeploy. Grey Worm hit redeploy. He's fucking respawn timer.
No, but Jon walking up those stairs, I'm pretty sure he walks up every fucking stair, and we see him take every fucking stair. It takes, no joke, about 5 minutes. And I'm not sure what's going on. I'm like, can you hurry up?
Oh, fuck. Yeah, it was pretty long, and it was pretty annoying too because it's like. He's staring at Grey Worm and Grey Worm's staring back at him, and I'm like, hey guys, you know where this fucking 10 minutes could go? Like
Anywhere else.
Like I'd watch more of the Tyrion POV at the fucking start of the episode than this, because at least he gets to see the horror of like Pompeii and the volcano that erupted. Like,
Speaking of, okay, what was with all the snow, which I'm assuming is supposed to be ash that was everywhere.
well, it was ash, but then it turned into snow. Because I think the writers were like, okay, so, you know, the flashback, we know we had a flashback in the previous season, season 2, when Dany sees the Iron Throne covered in snow, but, you know, we're going to make it ash. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. So in that scene, she saw snow, but it was actually ash because she burned it down. That's kind of cool. Then they were just like, oh, no, actually, cool, we shouldn't do that. We're just going to make it snow again. And it, like, transitions from ash to snow.
Is it actually, does they ever show the transition, or is it just sort of really sloppily kind of done?
No, they don't show the transition, but it's like John's walking up the steps to Grey Worm, and
Suddenly the ash stops and the snow starts.
His character...
between the 10 minutes of the walk there.
Yeah, his character redeploy, like, fucked up the weather biome.
Okay.
So it's like, it's no longer ash, it's like the code's been wrong, and it's like fucking rejigged it, and now it's changed the biome to snow.
Okay, that's fair.
Even though it makes no sense, because at the end of season 7, when Jaime's riding away, we see snow falling on King's Landing, and then throughout the entire season 8, there's no snow at all, and now the snow starts up again. I'm like, did it snow and melt in the time that season? Like, I'm sorry, what?
What season is this? Like, what actual season of the year is this?
I don't know.
Because it's supposed to be
It's
winter, I guess.
It's supposed to be the long winter,
and it's pretty fucking quick.
Can I just say, yes, this is one of my biggest complaints in the fucking show. You know, in the book, you know, I've only read like a bit of the first book. I am going to sit down and read them all now because I want a good ending to my fucking Game of Thrones. Thank you. I'll go where like the good writers are or writer is. But like in the book, and especially in the show, like the long night, like the long winter, and you know, it's like established as being, you know, when I pictured it, I was like, okay, so it's like when you go way up in the northern hemisphere or southern hemisphere, where it's like, it's just pitch black for like 6 months. You know, it's just dark, you can't see anything. And I was like, man, that'd be really fucking foreboding with the White Walkers and shit like that. And I thought we were progressing towards that. Man, winter, the long winter seems pretty summery to me. Like, King's Landing doesn't even get it until the fucking end of season 8, and at that point, the White Walkers are dead! And I'm just like, the long night, which was meant to be, which obviously was the title of episode 3 in the season, damn, it was pretty fucking short, wasn't it? It was like...
I mean, did anyone else think that it might, like, get to the point where, had they swapped the Cersei and, Night King battles or whatever, that the final battle would take place, you know, around King's Landing, then you could have the White Walkers on a much bigger scale attacking all of King's Landing.
Yes, and it would have made more sense in terms of, like, a defensive perspective as well, because like the walls at King's Landing are like double the height of Winterfell.
Could have made use for those scorpions.
Yeah, man, could have used those scorpion, you know, could have actually had siege fucking tactics as opposed to like trebuchets at the front of the line.
Trebuchets just hanging out by themselves and then abandoned.
Yeah, we're backtracking now, but like that was one of my biggest issues, was like this thing that's been hyped up so long. You know, like fuck all the, you know, the King's Landing stuff. Like I don't have as much of an issue with that as I do with the White Walkers and the way that they were executed. It's like, you know, taking like the big villain of the entire show, like the whole thing that John's trying to prove to everyone, like that's his character arc throughout all the seasons, is that this is all pointless, doesn't fucking matter. If we don't work together, we're gonna die anyway. And then they just like, oh fuck. We gotta get this Cersei plotline, so we'll just fuck off the White Walker. Just get that gone now.
It was pretty quickly wrapped up. I'll give it that. But so Tyrion, again, being clever as he is the cleverest character in the show, the smartest Lannister. Instead of, you know, he's got one chance left before Daenerys is gonna kill him. So he's like, instead of going, oh, Daenerys, I think you did the right thing. And like, you could have had him, like, his face be like a sort of a mask of horror. So he's like, and he could have said something like, Daenerys, you did a great job. You're the best queen, you know.
Ever.
Instead, he just flat out in front of her and in front of the army just says, you killed everyone, fuck you. Throws the
hand pin.
Yeah, and just wanders off.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, they put him in jail.
Yeah, so surprisingly they don't kill him because they've killed previous Lannister prisoners.
Yeah, and surely for that, you know, treason against the queen.
For that. after a Hitler speech at the top of the fucking stairs.
Yeah.
With the respawning fucking Unsullied and Dothraki.
And they've got a bit of the, the Star Wars Stormtrooper kind of layout there as well.
That's right.
It's a very weird kind of shot they put there.
J.J. Abrams was brought in, and they were like, "Can you do what?"
Well, that's why D&D are doing onto the Star Wars show.
Oh yeah.
This was their practice
This
run.
is the practice run. They were like, this was like the scissor reel. They made this so that they could show
Smart
we can
move.
do epic fights and battles, you know?
So they copied. So that's why they were hired to go into Star Wars, because the writing is as bad as the new trilogy. and then Kathleen Kennedy saw it and was like, "This is perfect.
This is perfect. Can we actually just make this?
Their work at pissing off the fan base is so good. We know where they could be better served." I think we missed the part where Tyrion went and investigated the bodies of Jaime and,
that's right.
and Cersei, where this is the part where just if they moved 5 steps to the left, they would have lived because the bricks just did not fall anywhere else. And Tyrion uncovers them. They're under like two bricks and perfectly preserved as well.
Yes, and they're hugging and... Man, they look pretty comfy, don't they?
Yeah, they're pretty content and happy and clean and you know, all
they're all good. Yeah. And then I love the part where he like smashes the bricks. Like, to be fair to Peter Dinklage, and I think to be fair to most people in this show, like the actors, like they were all doing their best with what they had. You know, there were people who could have been better. Like, obviously there's the Emilia Clarke thing where, you know, a lot of people think she can be hit or miss. I didn't mind her.
I think she got better as the show went on, but certainly the writing didn't help at some points.
No, and see, that's the thing. The writing didn't help anyone. But, you know, as far as the cast go, and I maintain this throughout all episodes, you know, all seasons, you know, I think they're pretty decent. You know, sometimes not brilliant, but I think they're pretty decent.
See, I think Kit Harington is probably the worst actor in the show, but his kind of... sort of, I guess, dopey sincerity kind of works with the character.
Yes. Well, I don't think Jon Snow, like, I mean, he is meant to be smart from a battle perspective, absolutely, but I like he never strikes me as like the most intelligent guy.
No, and that's kind of the point.
Yeah,
I think
exactly. But like like obviously there are standouts like Peter Dinklage and Lena Headey. You know, Jaime. Obviously, I don't know his name.
I've forgotten it.
Yeah,
but
he's obviously really good. You know,
yeah, I think he's a great actor.
Yeah, I think most of the mature house members are pretty great. Like obviously the guy who did Tywin.
Tywin's probably my favorite actor.
I think Tywin Lannister's probably one of my favorite characters in the whole show.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, like even Joffrey. Joffrey did a great job actually.
Joffrey again is unliked by a lot of people, but that's kind of the point.
Yeah, exactly.
He plays the character perfectly. Yeah, that's what you'd want.
And my boy Sean Bean.
And Sean Bean was good. Again, same thing as John, where he had the same kind of sort of sincerity, but he was sort of just a cleverer version of John, I guess.
Slightly cleverer. But I love the bit in this scene where Peter's like bashing the bricks, and people have gone in and edited over his story of his cousin who was crushing the beaters. The beater crushed the clunk, clunk. Like, I was like, yes, please do more of that, D&D.
So they go from the scene where Tyrion gets taken away and put in jail, and Jon goes and has a bit of a chat with him, and that scene goes on for like 10 minutes.
It goes on forever, and like Jon's like, I'm not going to justify what she did because you can't justify it, and then
then begins
justifying it. It's like, and just the Peter Dinklage thing I just thought of as well, like to get down there to see the bodies, he had to go through like a wall of bricks, and he put in more effort to get through to see the dead bodies than the alive bodies put in to get out of the fucking spot where they nearly died.
Exactly.
So it's like, man, your priorities, guys.
So they go there and have a little chat, and that seems to be enough to convince Jon. Not the mass murder of the civilians, that didn't really push him over the edge. But
no, he was.
But Tyrion having a little cry, that made him a sad boy. So. I'm not sure what else happens after that. Is it straight to the...
I think it's pretty much straight to the Dany kill scene.
Yeah, so they go there and...
so he walks up and...
And Dany, they've sort of weirdly sort of changed her character, I think, in this a bit, where she sort of seems like she sort of goes back to like a really kind of like happy-go-lucky, upbeat.
Yeah, but some of the dialogue as well, like when she's talking about... Like some of the things she says, like, we can make the world a better place and, because we know what's right. And Jon's like, yes, but what about everyone else who thinks they know what's right? And she's like, yeah, but they don't get to choose. Like that's good. Like that's actual dialogue that sounds like someone who is just completely delusional and like...
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, I don't think Dany ever just like, she just kind of leaped to that point. I mean, I spoke to someone about this where they were really in favor of season 8.
Oh, really?
For some reason. And I said, but what about the whole thing with Dany? Like, it's just completely out of nowhere and really rushed. And they agreed that yes, it should have been done like with another 2 seasons worth of content.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, make it season 10 and slowly start it in season 7 or something and just sort of work your way there, which, I mean, I agree with, like I said to you before, that originally D&D were offered 12 seasons, I think.
I think George R. R. Martin.
George R. R. Martin, wanted the story to be told over 12 seasons. And, you know, D&D were just like, no.
We've got Star Wars coming up.
Yeah, we can do it in 8.
They're doubling our fucking, you know, salary for Star Wars, so... And it's like, it's one of those things as well, like when you say like the Danny thing could have worked over long, well, obviously it could. Like the seeds have been there for a long time. Like Danny has always been a character who's, you know, like expressed zero, you know, mercy to the people who she thinks doesn't deserve mercy, and has always had that sort of power, not power hunger, but she's always had that sort of like,
yeah, she feels entitled to the
exactly.
power.
Her character is very much that way.
I like the idea of her. You know, she thinks some people deserve to have the freedom and the power and stuff. And I don't mind the idea of her thinking that, you know, innocents are these people to transition from there's no innocence but me and these people I choose. So it could have worked. But again, the seeds were planted there and then just immediately used within 2 episodes.
The seeds were planted and then dug up and were like, they've grown enough. Fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just...
Yeah.
It just was never really thought of too much. And I'm pretty sure like these kind of big plot points like that will be in the books.
Yes.
Like
George R. R. Martin was the one who wrote like the fucking sticky note that said Danny burns down King's Landing and Arya kills the Night King. Apparently, that's something that I've seen.
I mean, who knows? But I mean, those big moments or whatever. Surely. In a book, like I mean, I guess that's the advantage of the book is that they'll have a lot more time to develop.
Yeah, and they're like 1,300 pages. Like, well, they can be. Sorry, excuse me. They're more like
huge
700-800. Yeah.
So I mean, surely it's going to have more time to develop, but I just feel like the justification for it is just going to be way more, you know, there than in this.
Oh, absolutely. No, I agree with you.
So I mean, I haven't read any of the books, but I would have more faith in George R. R. Martin to put a bit more thought into.
Yeah, I would have more,
especially the backlash from here. He might rewrite a bit.
Yeah, exactly. I would honestly have more faith in the fucking actors to write better dialogue than the fucking writers on this show.
So yeah, so Danny goes crazy, and John has a bit of a cry and stabs her, which you can see coming a mile away.
Yes. But flashback before this scene, just before we get on to the later part of the episode, I do want to say I really like the shot of John walking up to the Red Keep and like Drogon coming out of that pile of snow.
Yeah, but why was he under there anyway?
Well, presumably guarding the entrance, and he's just laying there. Though he did get covered up by snow pretty fucking quick.
Well, that's why I still don't think it's snow, because snow's not that white, though, is it? It's
snow's that white. Yeah.
But it didn't really look like snow. It looked too much like ash to me. I was still confused as to the snow thing.
It was snow at that point. The ash is grey and shit. Yeah, it's like it had stopped, unless like I don't know, it was super hot.
Well, I thought because the fires were still burning, you know, like
I got no clue.
But yeah, so the dragon doesn't really seem to give a shit that
dragons. You see, I have this thing where it's like, I don't know, like in the past seasons, like I like to think that the reason that Drogon let Jon pet him is because he secretly knew he was a Targaryen. Like, that could be just complete bullshit from me, but that's how I rationalize it. It's also how I rationalize him not being killed by Drogon, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was my next point, was that once he kills Dany, what I thought was going to happen was that Drogon would, try and light him on fire, and the fire would just not hurt him like it's Daenerys. Like, it's like, oh, proof you're a Targaryen, that you're impervious to dragonfire.
To dragonfire.
And I'm like, okay.
Though, that's not the case, though, because not all Targaryens are impervious to fire, because obviously Viserys... Dany's older brother was killed by fire.
Well, that's not fire. That was molten.
Yeah, but like
metal.
Any form of heat doesn't affect them. Like Dany
again, though. But that's like it's semantics. You're not quite sure whether or not what qualifies.
Exactly. It wasn't really established at all. But I mean, like we've had enough shots at least. In terms of physical interaction, you know, Dany grabbing like the urns or whatnot, like the fire pits that the Dothraki
and her
were
and
using.
Like the burning huts or whatever that burnt her clothes off and
they burn their clothes, but doesn't affect her skin. So presumably, you know, it's not all Targaryens.
Well, who fuck knows?
Who fuck knows?
No one ever talks about this.
No
one ever put any thought into maybe being a bit more.
Reasonable.
Yeah, a bit more descriptive about what any of it is. So instead. Drogon decides to do
Oh my!
The most deep and meaningful thing, I think it really capped off the show, and it made me think.
Drogon is the best character. He's the best written character. He has no dialogue.
Drogon goes. In the end, the throne was the true villain, and the humans are real monsters, and burns down the throne. And it looked a bit weird. I kind of like the visual of it.
I thought the effects for the throne melting were really fucking good.
Yeah, but it just like was so like obvious like symbolism. It just like
oh yeah, the symbol.
It's such on the nose, and I'm like, come on,
I love the scene where you see him like looking at Jon arcing up to breathe fire, and then like in the space of 2 frames, it's like nah, tricked ya, and like starts. Like I don't know,
his head, like a right angle.
Yeah, exactly, like on a right angle, like burning a frame around the Iron Throne and then burns the Iron Throne. I'm like,
he like misses the first shot, doesn't he? And I'm like, what the fuck?
He's like, I'm just gonna allude to it to let you turn around and look, and then I'm gonna do it. But can I just say, once again, the special effects fucking really good in that scene, and I also want to give compliments to the audio for the dragons. Like throughout all the seasons that they've been in, you know, I'm really over generic, you know, audio for, you know, giant reptiles, you know, in fucking TV, movies, whatever. You know, it's always like the generic, like the new Jurassic Park films, if you want to go, you know, I maintain that there are 2 different types of...
Just stock...
Yeah, there are like 2 different types of roars for the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. You know, obviously there's more like subtle ones, but there are 2 different ones. There's a bassy one that you hear in the first film, and then there's like a more generic one. And the bassy one's far better. And, you know, Steven Spielberg knew how to balance the 2 because you got a pretty even spread of them, and I thought it was good. And then the new ones just used the stock one and never used the fucking good one.
Well, what do you expect, you know?
Well, no, like, those movies are trash. But the point that I'm making is that, you know, there is good audio out there, but for the most part, it's just become very generic now. I do like that these dragons in this show don't so much roar as they do scream. Like in the scene where Drogon screams after realizing that Dany's died, it sounds like someone screaming.
Yeah, well, I think they try and, I guess, make them appear a bit more intelligent by having those kind of more human reactions, I guess you'd call them.
I have to maintain. And like the dragon song, when you constantly hear them in the background, like really well done. So I will give my props to that, and I do like the scene of him burning the throne, even if it starts out a bit stupid.
Oh, I think it's pretty dumb. It didn't really need to be there. I thought they could have probably done a better way of it.
Yeah, probably fair.
Somehow. But, you know, it's not my job to write that show for them.
No, obviously. Even though, arguably, over the past, like, month, people have done a better job.
I think people have already written the show better already. Yeah. But,
through their complaints, oddly enough. Like, not even directly writing.
But then I was a bit confused as to why Drogon just picks up Dany and just flies off into nothing.
That was him exiting the show, going to one of the new prequel shows where he'll rock up.
Okay,
spin-off ones.
He'll team up with Arya and Sandor.
I even love it. They do it later in the episode. Like, Bran's like, lol, I haven't walked this entire episode except for crows, but I'll go find Drogon. Oh, you want to see that? Not gonna happen. Bye.
Yeah, why didn't he walk at any point? Like with the fight with the Night King and the White Walkers, didn't think to do that to like check out where the army was, see a nocturnal animal could see through the darkness.
Because Bran's impartial. That was a part of the rules that he signed.
That is such wank.
I know. I mean, it's part of the rules, but it's like, okay, are we done with like the? Obviously, you know, then it's implied that Jon gets captured by Grey Worm.
Why didn't they kill him then?
Yeah, because once again, Grey Worm is completely inconsistent.
I know Jon is like supposed to be, you know, a big important guy or whatever, but surely if they found he's killed the queen,
even if there's no evidence of him doing that, because like he's there and I suppose he has a bloody dagger, but no, the bloody dagger went with Daenerys because he didn't take it out of the
exactly.
body.
So that's the
there's
thing.
No evidence that he killed her.
They even say in the later scene, oh, he stabbed Daenerys in the heart with a dagger or whatever.
How do you know this?
How do you know? Did Jon tell them? I don't know.
Drogon told them?
Yeah, probably. Drogon's sitting on the trial there.
Fucking Drogon, the reason he left was to go and make a better Iron Throne so that he could sit on it.
He went to go and tell Grey Worm.
Oh, okay. But why does he have to leave? I thought Grey Worm could teleport. Maybe he had already teleported to the back of the set and was watching.
Possibly.
So
then Jon gets prisoned, and
he and Tyrion, who are both...
He and Tyrion, I guess they room together.
Man.
But it's not really even shown. It's just kind of like Jon's in prison and you never see him again until the end of the episode.
Yeah, until literally like the last 5 minutes.
So it's never really shown he's just there, and then it's like they talk...
Actually, no, that's not a lie. He has a conversation with Tyrion at one point.
But they talk about him in the trial.
Yes, now this trial...
But they talk about him in the trial, but he, for some reason, is not at his own trial.
No. Tyrion's allowed there.
Or the big discussion. Yeah, so they bring Tyrion. Tyrion speaks, and then Grey Worm says, "No, you're not allowed to speak."
And Tyrion's
like, "Yes, I will speak for another 20 minutes."
I will speak very much, thank you, because that's what our character does. It's like the writers were like, Tyrion, you can't talk, but then they forgot that it was not, Jon. It was Tyrion who was here, and they're like, fuck.
Surely the dynamic for the whole scene would have been better with Jon there, but maybe they just couldn't think of what dialogue to write.
I don't know. They were probably strapped. The budget didn't allow for any more dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
No ghost and no dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. That was the two things
those
that
were
strike
two
off the
things.
list.
Yeah. But this scene is pretty dumb as well.
Well, I mean, like you said before, they had everyone just came down.
Yeah, all the Starks are down there now.
And can I just say as well, they also came down within 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes of this battle ending. I think it's like, what? Jon's been in prison for 2 weeks, they said, or something like that. And I'm like, geez, you fucking galloped, didn't you? You got there in half the time it would normally take you.
Yeah, and I mean, they're just all there, all comfy, and then just sort of casually discuss. And, they suggest, like, I think Sam suggests, maybe we should,
Let's invent democracy.
And then everyone laughs, but then they just do that anyway. Like, they just pick someone anyway.
Yeah. I think the only difference is that it's only for high lords and whatnot to decide, not the regular people.
People would probably pick the same thing anyway. Or they would have picked Jon.
Well,
I don't know why Jon was not a choice for the king. I guess
because you got to have Bran the Broken,
which is the dumbest name possible.
It's insulting as well.
Yeah, I mean,
But like, let's talk about who's there, because this was pointed out to me in another video. It's like, we've got old mate Tully, who's the last surviving member of the House Tully, the uncle of Sansa and Arya.
Sure.
We've got Sansa and Arya.
It's turned into a bumbling joke, really.
Yeah, even though it was pointed out to me again that he suffered just as much as everyone else.
He's got experience in
battle and warfare.
In politics
stuff. He's a bit of a dope sometimes, but, whatever. And then he gets fucking cucked by his niece, which is weird. So we've got him, who's right to be there. Sam, who's there for some reason. We've got fucking... Was Bronn there? No, Bronn wasn't there.
No, Bronn wasn't there.
Even though Bronn should have been there because he's now a High Lord of the... Like Lord of Highgarden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sansa, Arya, Bran, whom else?
Was Brienne there?
Brienne was there. Why? She's just a knight.
Yeah, she's staying.
They had fucking Gendry, who's now fucking Storm's End. Also, we haven't discussed the fact that they got his fucking, his bastard name wrong. It's not Rivers, it's meant to be Waters or something.
Yeah, but I mean, it still doesn't make any sense because the whole thing about Daenerys giving him, like, the Lord of whatever it is, she gave him that position as the head of the whole house or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's only going to make competition for her bid for the throne.
Exactly. People have pointed out that by legitimizing him,
Robert Baratheon's son.
Yeah, Robert Baratheon's son. He now has a claim to the Iron Throne, and also has the backing of the people in the sense that his father fucking held the throne in the
peaceful times,
the kingdoms in peace for 20 years. Yeah. So it's like, wouldn't they back him as well as the fact as well? Actually,
he's a likable guy. He's very approachable, whereas Daenerys is some fucking bitch from who knows where, who's scary and
who's very scary.
Yeah.
They don't like me, and it makes me sad.
Yeah, that was really confusing. That whole thing with Daenerys, where she's had a little cry because her voting numbers weren't too great.
She was a part of the Labour Party.
She never cared before, but now
I'm bringing Australian politics into this.
Now when she's murdering everyone, then she's sad that nobody likes her.
Yeah.
So they have the little debate.
Also, the Gendry thing as well with the bastard name. He's also not a legitimized bastard, so he wouldn't actually have a last name anyway.
Yeah, well,
it would just be Gendry.
Well, I guess Daenerys legitimized him.
So now he's Gendry Baratheon.
Yeah, so she made it even worse. Great.
Yes, yeah, good.
So they have a little debate, and then Tyrion comes up with the genius idea of, you know what, let's not pick anyone who's good for the job. Let's pick fucking Professor X over here. Who's been sitting here doing nothing for 8 seasons. He has no care about anything anymore. No interest in ruling.
Who has stated in the previous season or season 6, one of the two, I can't be Lord of anything. I don't really want any more. I'm the three-eyed raven. And I always love how he mentions that he's the three-eyed raven, and everyone sort of looks at him, and instead of actually showing a scene where he explains what the fuck's going on,
or anyone asking,
they're just like, yep, he's fucking insane, and then walk away.
And then they all go along with this plan.
Yeah. And he's just like, no, who has a better story than Bran the Broken?
How about everyone else?
Everyone in the fucking show. Even Sam has a better story than Bran the Broken.
I mean, surely, like, I know, again, it's cliche that Jon would get the throne.
But, like, once again, like, pay off for things that you have had, like, it's been since season 1, the whole mystery of Jon's, like...
I mean, wouldn't it, like, Bran doesn't want to rule, neither does Jon. Wouldn't it be the same bittersweetness with Jon having to rule?
Yeah, Jon doesn't want to rule, but, like, even more so, like, season 1, it was established that Jon's, family, tree, like, who does he belong to? It's taken us fucking 6 seasons to figure out that he's, at least in some way, shape or form a Targaryen, and then season 7, it's revealed that he is a true-born Targaryen heir to the throne.
Exactly.
All it served in this entire fucking season was to piss off Daenerys, for Daenerys to become fucking freaked out that she might have her claim, rightfully fucking challenged by someone who's better than her. No one cares! It doesn't even matter at the end. The kid who got fucking, like, broken at the start of season 1 and has fucking done nothing since season 4 is like, lol. Remember when I said that I couldn't rule anything? Well, why did you think I came all this way?
It's not even that he can't rule. It's like even earlier in that season, he says, "I don't want to rule," and then so it's like episode 2, season 8. Bran was like, I don't want to rule," and then episode 6, Bran is like, "I'm gonna end Jon's whole career."
Fuck that guy. Like, you remember the guy who's like, proved that he is this, like, a great person for rule, you know what I mean? Like, who can rally the North and, the wildlings and all of these different factions. He's meant to be a great battle commander, even though he's fucked up a couple of battles in his time, died for the people that he,
and then
was betrayed by, and, like...
And Bran gets this smug look on his face, and he's like, "Why do you think I came all this way?" And we all just go, who the fuck knows?
Who the fuck knows, Bran? I'm honestly astonished how you got down here.
Everyone's like, yeah, well, why not? Like, we don't really care.
Yeah, everyone puts their hand up. And I'm like, what? What? And I'm like, okay, unanimous vote.
And then Sansa pipes up and is like, "Oh, by the way,
we're going to be...
Winterfell is defecting to the Soviet Union. And we're going to be our own independent nation."
And everyone else...
And everyone's like... okay.
Was that an option?
Yeah, exactly. And then what's the name from the Iron Islands?
Doesn't pike up.
Doesn't go, "Well, yeah, we would also want that." I don't know why.
Even though she was promised that by Daenerys anyway.
Yeah, and then for some reason she's like, but Daenerys was my queen.
That's right.
And then it's like, you barely spoke to her.
It's like you spoke to her once, you hung out with her on your way over to Westeros, and then you promptly got captured and fucked off.
Yeah. And I don't know why, Sansa doing that is stupid, because it opens the door for every other kingdom to go, we also...
But none of them do!
Yeah, I mean, I thought the guy from Dawn might do that.
Also, who was that guy from Dawn?
He's, I guess, the new king or prince
it's
or
like,
whatever.
They mentioned that he was the new prince, but I was like, is he, like, one of the... not Oberyn, sorry, but, like, is he, like, one of, like the family, like, the Lord family in Dawn? Like, is he? Because I thought there were only 2 brothers. I have...
Well, yeah, like, again, it's not explained.
I don't know. It's just like, lol, he's there. And then everyone else who's there who you don't recognize is like, I suppose they're important. I've never seen them before in my fucking life. Like, at one point I thought one of them was the Blackfish, and I was like, oh, he didn't die. But then, no, because he died in a very shit way in seasons... Like, again, was that 7 when he died?
Who the fuck even knows?
I think it was 6.
It's obviously no thought really went into how anyone would act at this kind of meeting.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty much how it goes, because Grey Worm seems to be okay with that. And like, what do we do with Jon now? He's killed the queen. He's like Jaime. He's like a bad guy. What should do? And it's like, let's just send him back to the Night's Watch, which guarding
nothing,
I guess.
Like, what? He's gone back to. Also, can we talk about the fact that they're like, he's gone back to Castle Black? And I'm like, surely you'd send him to Eastwatch, and that's where the fucking Night's Watch would be, because that's where the giant fucking hole through the wall is. But like, what's the point in defending the part of the wall that's whole when you have a part where, like...
What's the point of the wall at all?
Exactly. Like, there's no enemies anymore. Nah, man, you gotta watch out for them zombie polar bears.
Oh, yeah. That's the... the White Walkers... Season. They're the only thing that lived, the zombie polar bears.
There was one White Walker up the back, and he was just like... Fuck you, man. You're not going to get me and my zombie polar bear.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm chilling out.
Like, that's the true final boss, right? That's what the Arya season's going to be about. So,
man.
They do that. And then it just sort of goes to like the big ending transition part.
Almost. We have a little bit more, like Tyrion goes and visits Jon, and Jon's like, lol, was it the right thing to do? And Tyrion's like, I don't fucking know. And Jon's like, yeah, and Jon's like, geez, you seem pretty confident considering the fact that you told me to do this fucking thing. Tyrion's like, ask me in 10 years. And he's like, I don't think you're going to visit me. And Tyrion's like, yeah, man, I want to whip my dick out and wee off the side of the wall again. And Jon's like, cool.
It's a good scene.
Good scene, guys.
Didn't waste any time at all.
No.
Not like it was a...
Not like, the entire...
You don't want to put anything important in the last episode.
No.
Your 8-season
not
show.
at all. No. And then we get the montage scene. We get like the goodbye, and Sansa's like, man, I wish there was another way, like instead of sending you to fucking, the Night's Watch. And
you could just not...
It's heavily implied that Grey Worm... Well, it's not even implied. It's just blatantly said that he's fucking off to Narth.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess maybe he has, like, people... Like, he's left some people there to...
Has he?
I don't know, but wait, I mean, I don't know, but you could maybe assume... Like, as an excuse
Water bottle.
You could maybe assume as an excuse that, he's left someone to watch...
Yeah.
Watch
But
Jon.
then even then, can we also say, where did those ships come from?
Who the fuck knows?
Like, there's ships there for not only the fucking Night's Watch, but also for the Unsullied. Like, at least the Unsullied could have respawned their ships.
Okay, so apparently the Dothraki were all killed off mostly in the big battle against the Night King, but you see them attacking King's Landing as well. So then I guess now they're just left in Westeros just to fuck around. They rape and pillage, and they've got no one to lead them. They didn't go crazy when Daenerys died, so what the fuck are they going back with
Also,
the Unsullied?
this was pointed out to me as well. Daenerys named them all her Blood Riders, and Blood Riders, when their fucking Carl dies, Blood Riders kill the person who killed their Carl, and then kill themselves. So like, that's not happening anymore, I guess.
Like, I guess they were happy to listen to reason when Jon went to the Night's Watch.
Yeah. I guess they were like, lol, okay, cool. See ya, man. I guess we just moved to commit suicide.
Sense. And then Arya, who is always... So Arya's like... Every season, she's like, oh, we've got to stay together. We're a family. The Starks are all great. And then then in this episode, she's...
What's west of Westeros?
What's west of Westeros? I'm going, by the way. Never going to see any of you again. Bye.
Going right now. Like, those boats that were all burned down and how there's fuck all people? Like, now, I'm going now.
Yeah.
I've got a crew. I've got... Gendry's coming with me. He's going to be my fuck boy.
Yeah.
He's not going to be...
Important plot development.
Yep. It's not... real, by the way. Gendry is off, presumably living a long and happy life.
Who the fuck knows, really? Because we don't really even see what happens to him. And we have the scene of the brilliant scene, can I just say, of the discussion table there, where Bran wheels in and he says, "I'm going to go look for Drogon," whatever the fuck that means.
That's right.
Assuming they're going to have their own spin-off.
That's right. And he named Tyrion Hand of the King again, and it's like, oh my gosh. That is your punishment. You get to pay your eyes, live fucking...
You'll live in the castle,
live
you'll
on
get
the
anything
castle,
you want.
Anything you want, you will fix the things that you've done. And I'm like, what, put you in power? Is it like...
And then he names like the biggest bunch of fuck-ups to be the whole of the rest of the game.
And like, this was pointed out to me too. I think this was... I can't remember if it was Cosman or Variety Hour did this. Maybe someone else. Maybe it was Mauler, sorry, again. I'm not like making fucking Bran Lord of Highgarden, not Bronn, sorry, excuse me, Master of Coin.
The guy who can't handle money.
The guy who can't handle money.
Keeps gambling and spending it all.
Keeps gambling and whatnot. But also by putting him, like, creating this system of the Lords voting, like, he is now the richest man in Westeros, right?
Sure.
So obviously everyone's going to go with his vote. Because if they don't, then he'll just not provide anyone with any food, any soldiers, any money, and the kingdom will go to shit. So it's a completely stupid system anyway.
Wouldn't Bran be better as like the Master of War?
Wouldn't Bran be the Master of Whisperers, even though he says like...
Or Bronn, rather.
Oh, Bronn. No, Bronn's Master of War. Bran's like...
I mean, that's what I thought would happen would be Bran would be like an advisor to the king.
Yeah.
Because he'd be pretty good at that.
He'd be pretty good at the Whisperers, considering that he can see everything. Instead, no, they're still looking for that. They're still looking for a Master of War... And some other
I thought
fucking position.
Isn't Brienne the Master?
No,
she's the
Kingsguard leader.
Yeah, and
so is Podrick.
And Pod, who's the best character? Can I just say?
I love Pod.
I hope he joins the spin-off in some capacity.
There is a scene. I watched a smaller. I say smaller, a larger Australian channel talking about Game of Thrones, and in season 8, episode 4, there's the scene where Pod and Sander Clegane are approached by two girls.
Yeah.
To go and have, a fun night. And Pod, obviously, with his magic penis, graciously accepts the offer. And Sander, being a cunt, is a cunt and is like... Rrr. Anyway, what I didn't notice is in the background, you can see Pod go up to this girl that Sander, told to fuck off. And it's like, hey, how you going? And then, walks away with both of the girls. And this guy... Oh, geez, I can't remember his name, so I do apologise. But if any of, obviously if you're watching, shout yourself out. Greatest line, Pod organising a 3-way the right way.
Yeah, well...
Best line.
Pod is the best character in the show. Like, if anyone should have been on the Iron Throne, it should have been Pod.
Should have been Podrick.
Yeah, exactly.
Good boy.
And then Sam comes in with the best thing is like, I've written a song in Ice and Fire. You might remember it from...
I hated that.
You might remember it from the name of the series. Get it?
Hey, I've called it The Lord of the Rings. It's like at the end of the fucking... Oh my fucking gosh. I finished Bilbo's book. It's called The Lord of the Rings. And, he wrote The Hobbit.
It's like, guys, have you seen Lord of the Rings? Pretty good. We're really good like them, aren't we?
But have you, read the books? Because, we're just going to be really clever and, include the title of the book series. So,
Headphone warning.
A bit late. And then, I think it's a little bit before that, but we have the scene with...
can we also talk about the fact that Sam's just the fucking Grand Maester now, even though he left Maester school and stole all their books?
Who the fuck knows? I mean, sure, he's probably smart, I guess. Why not? Throw him on there. We have John talking to the wildlings, and they're like, "Oh, we're going back home." It's not like our whole reason for coming to Westeros was because we agreed that we were given land.
That's right, yeah.
So we're just going to be in the north. We're just going to go back home. Just forget about that whole thing last couple of seasons.
On Ghosts here.
Bye, Ghosts.
Do you want to reuse footage from another? Was it actually reused? Because it looks different to me.
I think they just color changed it a bit.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but from what I saw, I think it was in one of Mauler's videos.
Yeah.
They showed it. I can't 100% confirm, but from the looks of it, I think it was.
It's pretty similar anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them.
No, yeah.
But yeah, we also have the scene with Brienne as well, where she's writing.
That was a nice scene.
She's writing Jamie's D&D card.
Yeah.
So she's writing his backstory, and she writes it really quick, and then she ends up closing the book before the ink
dries. That's right.
I think that's really symbolic of the entire series at this point.
But there were some other things in there. It's things that should have been written already.
Things that should have been written. Yeah, the show. Should have been written for the last season.
No.
I think the script being blank wasn't a good.
No, not the show. I agree with you though. But certain things, accomplishments that Jamie had throughout the last few seasons, should have already been mentioned in the book, but haven't been written in yet. Bothered. I honestly can't remember them because at this point my brain is just so completely.
This is what Game of Thrones does to you.
How long is this now? It's 2 hours.
2 hours and 11 minutes. I think we're in.
We're in the throes. This is uncut, guys. One take. You want a cool one take? This is it.
It's like the Battle of the Bastards.
No, that was only a fucking 60-second one take, which was a really good one take, by the way.
Oh, sorry,
it's good.
Well, ours is better, obviously.
Yeah, no, ours requires much more skill.
Yeah,
we're writing and reading the script right now at the same time. More effort is.
So it's just like season 8 Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I was going to say more effort has gone into this.
I think writing's a bit generous. It's clear that they sort of scribbled something together.
I think they just typed into Google generic fantasy plots, or maybe they went to a fan fiction site and then just printed out the first draft.
I think they just read some kids fan theory and just slapped it on there. Yeah, so that's certainly what it sounds like at some point.
It's good. I think they went through George R.R. Martin's bin one day and got a bunch of scribbles and were
put it together,
adapted the scribbles to words and then used that as their script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's pretty divisive to say the least.
Is there anything else?
Well, that's all I can really think of.
Yeah. The Queen of the North. You like the chant?
Yeah, not really.
No.
I think it's just for Sansa fanboys. and fangirls.
Man, when you said that Sansa like bullied her way into the script in season 7, you weren't wrong.
Yeah, she really forces her way in, and I just don't see any point. Like, she should have probably been killed off.
All she provides
in some
is
season.
unnecessary conflict to characters. She fucking stands on Jon's toes when he's trying to lead his, bannermen and, you know, the other members of the house, like, constantly questioning him in front of... And, like, I'm not saying her character shouldn't do it, but it just makes no sense in this show where, like, previously... Like, even in the book, it's like Rob's mother, Catelyn. Like, in the first book, it's established, and even in the show, it's established that when she first meets her son again, after coming back from the Vale, after fucking... so long, since seeing him, she holds herself back from going and hugging him in front of his bannermen and people while he's leading a war because she knows that will weaken his respect.
Yeah,
from them.
Sansa, despite being portrayed as this really smart, masterminding kind of character, is just really stupid and hurts her own side more than anyone else.
Yes, it's just ridiculous. And then obviously season 8 does it again with Daenerys. And, if you just flip the battles around, you could have at least come up with a compelling reason for her to do that. But
there's arguments, I think, that could have definitely helped some of the backlash.
Yes.
The whiplash, really. It's just nonsensical all the time.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm sure we probably missed heaps of little things.
Oh yeah, there'll be a bunch of things that we've missed. I'll go home and watch like another 2 hours worth of rant videos, and there'll be more. But I think we've covered most of it.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that it's Game of Thrones. I think from season at least 1 to 6 was probably thought of as like it's this show that you must go out and watch because it's it changes TV or whatever you want to say about it, but. It's turned into Dexter now, I think, really, where it's this show that's remembered for being good for a bit and then just ending on this
fucking it up.
Giant fart of a...
And you know what? I remember going into season 8, and I, up to this point, I have always maintained, we'd talk about something, and I would always maintain that, something can't ruin something else. Like, even if it's in the same franchise, like, that by itself still stands up. Like season 1 of whatever will still be great. And, obviously that is true. Like objectively, season 1 is no less great because this exists. But to say that this doesn't ruin
this is sort of like a Breaking Bad situation where, I'm like, this show is so good, I'm going to wait and buy the big box set when it finishes so I can have the whole collection. And I was going to do that for Game of Thrones when it finished.
Now
I won't be doing that now.
No, now I just want to own season 1 to 6, and honestly, I'll get 7. People 7 had its issues, but it had its highs too.
Even with I just don't want to. I just don't really have any interest in it anymore. I've just kind of lost it because I just know at the end there's just nothing really waiting for me.
Yeah,
it's just a disappointment.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just a real shame. Like I honestly, hate TV again. I pick what I watch for TV very, very selectively. Often, via what you recommend, and even then we'll turn it off often if I don't like it. And never have the patience at home to watch, fucking 80 hours of something, ever. And I did this and I got really invested, and it's just so upsetting to just have it be rushed out for the sake of going and working with something else. If you're disinterested in writing something or in doing something in general, like, don't just give it up or fuck it off. Like, give it to someone else who cares.
Yeah, from what I heard, that HBO is pretty much offering them unlimited money to finish this off. 12 seasons that George R.R. Martin wanted, and they just said no because we're too lazy to put in effort to actually give a satisfying conclusion.
Exactly.
To this show that even the normies like. I mean, it's pretty much, like, I would say most people who have any interest in TV
would watch
even people who are not interested in fantasy are just crazy about the show, and I just found that just weird.
It's like the big shows I remember always hearing about, back, like 2013 or whatnot. It's like Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead, and probably another one that I'm forgetting. But like those were the big two, the HBO and, AMC. Like everyone was talking about it. There's no place you couldn't go. We obviously worked in a Blockbuster for about 5 years. You were 6 years, I was 5 years. And obviously like that's ridiculously popular. Everyone knew about it, and it's just, oh my gosh. I'm gonna drink to that.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, Game of Thrones was more of a Game of Groans.
Yeah. Game of Drones, come on. Don't end it yet. Gotta have like a fancy outro here.
No, I wanted to end it on the pun.
Well, you can still end it on a pun.
I get, because I'm going to fucking edit this shit out.
You can get it edited out.
Fucking, we're done.
It's fucking done, mate.
Fuck off.
Done.
See ya.